really strikingly different, either in approach or edge or body or mind? Or do you think there's a Mariner this year that we could be struck in that kind of manner with?
I don't know that I want any of the pitchers to change their commitment level or anything like that. I mean, there's guys that can take the next step, Bryce Miller, etc. I don't know that we'll feel it, but Luis Castillo is one of the top names on my list for that because of what I think it's time for him to do, and this is in my article coming out today. It's just time for him he's going to have to learn to pitch, right? I mean, he's always been, fastball velocity's gone from 97 to 96 to 95, and he's kind of hit that age now at 32 where you got to learn to be a pitcher, not just a thrower. And I think he can do it. I mean, he's certainly got enough secondary stuff and everything else, but this is kind of the year for that adjustment. So, yeah, that would be a name on my list. You?
I think it's going to be one of these young guys that's kind of right on the verge. Right, that there's going to be, and maybe I'm hoping that. Right, what is that when you hope for something? You're just
trying to wish it into existence.
Kind of, yes, and just kind of, thinking maybe a Cole Young or a Harry Ford or one of these guys that have been in this top 100 list for the last couple years, and it's like, can you imagine if you're one of them? You're like, great, are you kidding me? You signed Donovan Solano, Jorge Polanco back. It's like you come into a draft and they didn't draft a guy at your position when you're in the NFL. Like, great, I got an opportunity.
They believe in me.
Yeah. Like there's I think going to be some opportunity for these young guys to impress.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
We finally got to meet Clint Kubiak yesterday, Brock, and he made it pretty simple and clear. This is the kind of team and offense he wants to run.
Our identity is going to be a running football team that starts with Coach Benton and his approach. Just really impressed with his ability as a teacher, number one. I think he's an excellent teacher, the way he runs the room, holds his guys accountable, and I've just seen the way he leads men and he schemes is excellent.
All right, that seems pretty simple. He wants a run-first football team and immediately starts talking about his offensive line coach.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's kind of speaking my language a little bit, and the ability to run into 8-man boxes when they know you're going to run. You could still find a way to run and will that run. I certainly heard the word complimentary from Mike McDonald. I appreciated his introduction. And looking over to Dave Pearson, like, was that good? Did I do good, Dave? It was pretty good, right? And you could see, I think, kind of the personality fit of two 30-somethings that have been around the game a long time. And I think in both Mike McDonald and certainly in Clint Kubiak know exactly the way they want to play the game.
Yeah, McDonald did speak to that and what it was he was looking for in an offensive coordinator and why he ended up settling on Kubiak.
The scheme expertise. This guy's been around the game for a long time and well documented with his family, and have so much respect for his brothers and his father Gary. I worked with him in 2014, but the passion for the game, the scheme expertise, the track record with the quarterback, guys have played at a really high level at every stop that he's been, and then the evolution of the scheme too, and being able to fit it to your personnel. And then Clint has a really great vision for where he wants our offense to go. It was very clear with that, with the personnel we have on our roster, and we'll talk about it as we go here, but I definitely believe that aligns with how we want to rock.
All right, so that's why Clint Kubiak is here. Now, who else is going to be here with him?
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Sure sounds like Geno Smith is on that list. A couple days after, Brock, you mentioned Mike McDonald was very complimentary, and speaking of the future with Geno, Clint Kubiak spoke that way as well.
Geno is a very aggressive player, have a lot of production. Obviously, he's been doing it for a long time. He's overcome a lot in his career. I have a lot of respect for Geno. It was a huge draw to come here and be able to get to coach him, alongside Andrew Janocko. So we have high expectations for him. We're going to push Geno and get the best out of him, and we'll do that by pushing his teammates as well. It's not just his show. It's a team thing, and he's got to be the head of that.
So he likes Geno, and he gave us a little more of the reasons why.
I think Geno's tough as nails. I think you look at the guy in the fourth quarter, and he goes and wins football games. That excites me. It fires me up. I've watched his career, studying him more now than I ever have before. But you just, you think about a guy that's been through a lot of adversity, the guy that's been knocked off the high horse and had to claw his way back into the starter's role, and then he comes back the last 2 years and, wins more games in the fourth quarter than anybody in the NFL. That's a guy that I want to coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just kind of further piling on that he's going to be here. And now in these next few weeks and before the new league year begins, March 12th, sure like to find a way to get a deal done between those two sides. I mean, we know that Geno does listen to some of these things said about him. I think his agent, likewise. And I would have to imagine everything they've heard publicly from the head coach and now the offensive coordinator strikes a pretty good chord. Like, yep, this is the guy that fits with what we want.
Yeah, they're not giving themselves outs.
Nope.
Right, like sometimes coaches do, where it's like,
like right now,
vague.
right
He's the best quarterback for us right now.
Uh-huh.
They didn't say any of that. This sounded a lot more of, he's going to be back. Unlike how they talked about Tyler Lockett, which was much more of a, we'll see. We're working on that. We'll see kind of where that goes. And that's the appropriate way, I think, to handle something like that right now before eventually
I will say, listening to those clips, I know we're going to play a bunch more of that sound here.
Yeah.
I do have the thoughts of one of my friends that played for Gary Kubiak, and I think I even read that text when Gary was on with us a couple weeks ago. And it was, this was Gary. This was the player speaking about Gary, that one of my favorite guys to ever play for. And he was really demanding and hard, but fair. And I honestly think that's going to be a lot of the vibe around that place as Mike McDonald gets more and more comfortable establishing the culture. This is going to be hard. We're going to do hard. We're going to play hard. We're going to practice hard. And I'm going to demand a lot of you, but I'm going to be fair in that process of doing so.
All right, that is everything you need to know. And we do have a lot more from Clint Kubiak, who not only met with the media, but hung out with Bump and Stacy for a while yesterday. And of all of the various things he said, Brock, there is one that should stand out above all else. I'll play you that sound, and we'll react next on Brock and Salk.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
So this year with the draft, McDonald's been here, right?
Every day at 7:45.
How would you expect that to affect the draft and make it different this season?
And that's why the next month is going to be fascinating leading up to the draft. These decisions on who they're going to re-sign from the 22 class, we're going to learn a lot of what Mike McDonald wants. And I'm really glad, Salk, that he has had 15 months time on task with John, that they've already made some of these decisions.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
All right, it's Mike Salk here for Riverside Roofing. The snow came back, and it looks like it's going to be coming back again tomorrow and into Friday. So if you see damage or leaks to your roof, call Riverside Roofing right away and have them come out and fix it. They've worked with a ton of local homeowners, lots of Seattle sports listeners. They helped me at my house, and they can help keep your home dry and warm throughout this wet, snowy winter. If you got a flat roof, well, that snow is super dangerous. Riverside Roofing will come out. They'll clear it off as soon as possible. You want them to do that. Don't go up there yourself. Let them handle it for you. It's why Riverside Roofing really is the roofing company you can trust. It's why I've had them to my house, and you should as well. Call Riverside Roofing at 425-949-8252. Or remember, you can always go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we are committed to giving you quality workmanship and white glove service that exceed your expectations. Get our exclusive leak armor installation backed by a lifetime warranty. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Georgetown License reminds parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Georgetown License, taking care of all your vehicle and vessel licensing needs for over 30 years. Online at georgetownlicense.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Washington's biggest night out for sports is the annual Sports Star of the Year Awards. Join the Seattle Sports Commission for the 90th anniversary of Sports Star and experience red carpet interviews on Media Row, a champions gallery of sports memorabilia, and a live awards show created for the sports community by the sports community. Don't miss your chance to be among the stars on February 27th at the 90th annual Sports Star of the Year Awards, presented by Microsoft. Get your tickets now at seattlesports.org.
The Hot Stove Show. Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason with Aaron Goldsmith, Gary Hill, and Shannon Dreyer.
Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. leading up to spring training.
Hey everyone, G. Scott here. If you're looking to make 2025 your healthiest year yet, sign up for the Safeway Sincerely Health app today. Earn rewards for healthy choices and get discounts on groceries and health products at Safeway stores. Plus, you can track goals and get personalized meal plans. It's never been easier to stay on top of your health. Let's all commit to better wellness today. Download the Safeway Sincerely Health app for free and start the journey to a healthier you.
Bring on the sunshine with a trip to see your Seattle Mariners. Come to sunny and warm Peoria, Arizona for another great year of spring training baseball. There's no better time to wind up at the Peoria Sports Complex where you can see all your favorite Mariners up close. Spring training in Peoria has plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and the best seats in baseball. It's family fun for all ages. Book your trip today. Support your Seattle Mariners in Arizona for another exciting spring training season. Get your tickets at peoriabaseball.com.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
There was a lot of great stuff from Clint Kubiak yesterday, Mike McDonald, both with Bump and Stacy, and as he met with the media. By the way, normally John Schneider would do his first John Schneider show tomorrow, but it looks like that's going to be Friday this week, and then Thursdays after that. So look forward to hearing from John Schneider. And one of the things they can ask him about when they talk to him is where he plans to find the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, the missing creature, the mythical creature that Clint Kubiak mentioned yesterday, Brock.
Certainly love playing with a fullback, like being in 21-12 personnel. Again, that's going to come down to, the strength of our players, who we have on our roster, and let's use the best 11 out there. Let's get the 5 best eligibles deployed out into the route scheme. So those are things we're working on right now, who that's going to be, but we got to adapt as coaches to our best players on the roster.
Did he say fullback? Is that what he said?
Say John L. Williams?
Did he say
Max Strong?
Fullback?
Did he say Max Strong? I think I heard the word fullback.
I'm pretty sure I heard the word fullback. Where do you even find somebody like that?
The idea of a creature larger than a gorilla with an odor like a skunk might seem far-fetched.
I mean, where do you even go and find somebody like a fullback?
Cloaked in secrecy, they show up without warning.
Yeah.
State their business, then vanish as quickly as they appeared.
You never know. Where do you find a fullback in this day and age, Brock?
Don't you dare play that music. Don't you dare scare the heck out. Oh, my God.
It's fullback music. No, it's actually not the right music for that cut. The right music I'll play you here in a little bit. But, Brock,
Yeah.
Did he say he's looking for a fullback? A no legitimate question.
Yes.
In 2025, if you want a fullback, where do you go to find one?
Army.
Okay. Is that it?
Navy.
Like you've got to find one out of the service academy.
Got to find that B back. No, because even that B back in those systems is not necessarily an NFL fullback size-wise or anything else. I think the dude in Baltimore, Ricard, the 300-pound like Sasquatch smelling thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, guard, tight end, fullback. I think that guy's a free agent. We'll see if Baltimore lets him loose. Yeah, hard to find. Hard to find because there's not a ton of systems at the collegiate level that are really developing those guys, like John L. Williams and Max Strong and some of those guys through the years. Can be done. Some play with like a joker. Some have a hybrid player. We've seen some of those guys. Some of kind of a college tight end or H-back. And
yeah, but we haven't seen it like a real fullback here in a while. I mean,
put a freaking neck roll on that guy.
We were mentioning a few,
put him
right?
in 44 with a neck roll.
There was obviously Mike Robb. There was Derek Coleman. Will Tualawafu was a defensive lineman who could also play a little fullback.
Right. I mean, was that Byron Murphy in the goal line situation?
Yeah, that's not a thing. Who was the guy, Owen Schmidt, who kept hitting himself in the head with his helmet?
West Virginia.
I mean, that was a fullback back in the day.
Guy made his own moonshine and then did take the helmet to his forehead. Yes.
But I love it. So not only does he want a fullback, Brock, but apparently he wants to run 21-12 personnel, which is a Rush fan's dream. Well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a little of this. There you go. You know what that is, Brock? That's 21-12. The Priests of the Temples of Syrinx by Rush.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
21-12. Did he say
21-12.
Satan or the devil or something?
No.
What did he say?
We're the priests of the Temples of Syrinx.
How you felt about that country music yesterday
I know,
is how
yeah.
I feel about Rush.
I get that.
voice is horrible.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Mostly women. A lot of women hate Rush. It's like a thing. Like going to a Rush show, it's like a whole joke that it will be all men. And it generally is. Almost universally despised by women everywhere.
It's like a dog whistle to their ears. They hear
just
it. And it's
like, yeah. And Bob hates them too.
Yeah, 21-12. So you know, of course, what 21-12 personnel
I do,
is,
yeah.
right?
It's
What is it?
either two running backs and one tight end.
There you go.
Or two tight ends and one running back.
There we
But
go.
regardless, it is only two wide receivers.
That's right.
And that's a lot of 1980s and 90s pro style look.
Sure is. Remember, for you football fans out there, when you talk personnel, that first number is always the number of running backs. Second number is the number of tight ends. So two backs, tight end, really? I formation, pro formation, getting back there, that good old stuff, or one back and two tight ends, which really, I think has been a staple, and the Rams and McVay and all of his disciples and everybody around the league, having a couple tight ends to set those edges and do things in the run and play action game, big part of it. So if you're Noah Fant, if you're the young draft pick last year, whose name's escaping me in the fourth round. There you go, Mr. Barner. You listened to all of that yesterday, and we're like, sign me up.
Absolutely, right?
Yes.
I mean, they should be psyched. And also, if you're worried about how you're going to replace Tyler Lockett and some of the depth at wide receiver, maybe it's not nearly as important in this system as it might be in others. So I took that as some really great news and probably the best thing that we heard from Clint Kubiak yesterday. Let me go through a few others. Offensive line is going to be such a big part of it. What is he looking for in an offensive lineman?
It's all players, smart, tough, dependable. And with the offensive linemen, they got to be intelligent, and they got to be available. They have to be healthy enough to get better, practice every day, and contribute to the team. So those are really important things. The skill takes care of itself. That's things that we're evaluating right now. But having high intelligence between the ears and be able to react quickly to movement in front of you is very important.
That ability to process. I was listening a little bit to a radio show that was playing a bunch of Tom Brady stuff last week with Colin Cowherd, and Brady was almost like he was like unleashed. He was like, I was Starlink before Starlink. It was my superpower. My ability to process and be a supercomputer and super processor is why I was the greatest of all time. And I don't think we often think, and I know we talked to Big Ray about this and have through the years. You can't just put your hand in the ground and hit the guy in front of you. Not in this scheme, especially. right? Maybe some more of the man blocking schemes or what have you, where you're blocking down. This is one where you have to react and you have to process. And you do need guys that show on tape, Salk, that kind of skill to be able to do that and think on their feet. So, I think there's going to be some that have been here that will have a harder time with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there are some like a Cross and like a Lucas that will fit in seamlessly, and finding the guys in the middle, the condiments, will be really, really important.
How does Olu fit into that?
Yeah, I'm going to get to Blue 88. I'm going to.
Okay. All right. We'll hold on to that because there's some other stuff we can go through here. So that's coming up in about 7 or 8 minutes. You mentioned the word alignment, and Clint did talk about trying to align this with Mike McDonald's defense and the scheme in general.
Shared goals, shared vision, and I'm here to support Coach. We got to do our part on offense to make sure that, we're showing our comrades on the defensive side of the ball that we're giving them everything that we got, and we're all pulling in the same direction.
Mm-hmm. And that's an underrated aspect of being a team that can really run the ball. And we saw that in 11 and 12 and 13 and 14. You want to light up your sidelines. You want to light up your defensive guys. You want to engage those guys. Have a team that is just nasty and physical and tough and dependable and can run the ball. And they love it. And they love watching that surge from the sidelines and kind of, hand in glove with what you want to do there defensively.
We mentioned the wide receivers. He did talk about both of them.
A lot to work with. A lot of great skill to work with. Down the field threat, strong physical player. Extremely excited about getting to work with him. And, his physical presence can bring a lot to our offense. So, whether it's him, Jax, all of our guys, really looking forward to working with them here come middle of April.
Obviously, he's initially talking about DK with the physical presence, etc. But just like it was sort of a pro-Geno conference yesterday, it sure sounded pro-DK as well.
It did. I think you walk away from Mike McDonald's comments over the months, over the season, at the end of the year. I don't think he's ever really deviated from, how much he respects the passion in the physical nature and toughness that those two guys play with, that a Geno and a DK. And that shouldn't surprise you, if you're a defensive minded guy and everything else, and, you're going to love that juice and passion and toughness those two guys certainly have displayed over their career. Do you have the kind of, what's interesting to me, I kind of like this, is one little thing that jumped out about bringing the defensive coaches in.
Oh, I do have that. Give me a moment and I'll find it for you. Yes.
To the offensive interviews. I kind of dug this. And again, shows maybe the holistic approach or some of the alignment or however you want to characterize it, the egoless nature of it. It's just not Mike McDonald and John Schneider making that opinion and judging. It's like, no, I want the other defensive guys in here. I want them to hear what this coach is preaching and maybe even putting up on that whiteboard. This was kind of a cool thing that you don't hear all the time.
Well, I felt like the other leaders of our football team, should be part of the process too, and it's a team effort. So I'm a guy that wants all the information, and I respect their opinions and their viewpoints on what our team needs, and so I just felt like that was the best move for us.
So I'm going to guess that's Leslie Frazier's probably in the room. I'm going to guess your D coordinator's probably
I definitely saw Adam Dirty's name. He was definitely there. I would assume Frazier, but there were a few others. Sounds like Nico Thorpe is back in the building, by the way. Speaking of new coaches, so he's going to be back there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way of empowering some of those guys, right? To be a part of the process and get some of that alignment that he was talking about. Just to go to the Bump and Stacy interview, there's some great stuff there as well. Brock, we talked about the types of linemen you were going to need in this scheme, and he does talk specifically about how much outside zone he's actually planning to run.
You got to have an identity, right? So ideally, we want our identity to be able to team that can run the football versus an 8-man front, and a team that can play action, a team that can move the pocket, a team that can push the ball down the field on first and second down and be explosive. So that's a starting point for us.
Are there a lot of teams that can run the ball against an 8-man front? I mean, that seems pretty challenging. I love it as a goal. I hope that that's not like what the play caller wants to do all the time. But
yeah, and you see less and less really of that in the NFL because of all the shell coverage and stuff that you do see. So it's not as if Cam Chancellor's sitting on the line of scrimmage and you're like, well, there's one more than we can block there. Like most of the teams are running that 8th guy down late or trying to disguise that and really trying to limit the big play. I think even more than anything, Salk, is I listened to all of that yesterday and play some of these cuts. Just the word movement. Just movement. My very first OTA as a rookie, I remember right from the jump, and this was a West Coast thing, and I bet we see it with him because it was an Alex Gibbs thing and a Mike Holmgren thing and a Shanahan thing, and it was just like you do run, you could off the ball. So, even before like calisthenics and everything else, or right after calisthenics, before your individual drills, it was just team running. We're just getting off the ball together. We're just all feeling that cadence. So there's the first huddle, and the second huddle, third huddle, go again, go again, go again. So everybody is just creating that rhythm in that movement and just that tempo to kind of start practice.
And that's the old Matt Hasselbeck phrase, right? He used to talk to us about tempo. I remember that. Yeah, that was like his big thing.
Yes, because he did that for 10, 12, 15 years, right? Both in Green Bay and in Seattle. And get off the ball. We get off the ball. We get off the ball. So you create that movement. It sounds, it's very simple.
Yeah,
but to actually do that and move Leonard Williams and move Byron Murphy and move Derek Hall and move these guys off their spot, it takes a tremendous amount of cohesion.
Well, and as much as he may have one style of offense that he comes in with, he was pretty clear that you got to use your personnel as well.
Now, what we become is up to our players. We'll start with the basic installation, and then we got to find out what our guys do well. And what we're running on Sunday might be totally different. It's all based off of what they do well. I think it'll be really important that we get together in April with our guys and start laying a foundation of what I think we can be, and then you always got to pivot to what the guys do well.
So it's interesting that he's focused on what the guys do well. Not that Mike McDonald's not. I don't mean to put them into a box, but my understanding, at least from what we talked about last year, the McDonald defense is a lot about picking out what the offense doesn't do well and trying to take advantage of it, right? So interesting that this is more of no, we're going to do what we do well, and maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. The offense dictates, and the defense tries to take that away from them.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And once again, it'll be a great day to have Daniel Jeremiah with us in 45 minutes because I'm going to ping him with a bunch of these things personnel-wise because I listen to that, and we start the segment with a fullback, right? We end the segment with the tight ends, right? We obviously know the need in the interior of this offensive line. Like, this is a meat and potatoes draft. There is a couple things there. There's a gravy, and by the way, I smoked some short ribs yesterday for about
I saw the picture.
6-7 hours for Benetti.
Between you and G, you guys are sending some pretty intense pictures of the meat you're smoking. I got to tell you, I was pretty jealous.
A beef short rib is baby brisket. And I think they got that one right.
Let's do some Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Just hold on a second. I'm going to snap the ball when I'm ready to snap the ball. That's what Tom Brady also said. It's not saying you can process and, you know what, see what everybody is doing. Let me just say this. When you tweet out fishing pictures, you know what's coming back. A lot of fishing pictures.
Right.
You tweet out a picture of your smoked beef rib on that Traeger, you know what's coming back? A lot of pictures of brisket and beef.
That didn't even look good.
It all looked good.
I bet it did.
And even more important, it all tasted good.
I bet it did. All right, Brock, question number 1. Seahawks building, as I just mentioned, that staff. And we got some more announcements yesterday. Yep. It's not just about the new guys. It's some of the guys who they brought back for year 2. Any of those moves excite you, guys who could really take a leap in year 2 here?
Well, I'm glad that Jake Peetz was kept around. I think he was a guy that gained the respect of Mike McDonald. I remember near the end of the year, Brady was filling in for you one day, Salk, and we did a Broyles Award, Assistant Coach of the Year, and Brady didn't hesitate. And he pointed right to him and the help that he was for Grubb and how much Mike McDonald respected him. So he sticks around as passing game coordinator, but a name that I think a lot of people were watching was Kennedy Polamalu, the running back coach. And we didn't, I don't think, mention his name one time all season. But there was a lot of thought that he was going to get plucked away with a different staff, maybe even down in Vegas. He had background with Pete Carroll at USC. The job that he did with all those backs, and they're all young. And you know what you didn't see last year, Salk? A lot of busted assignments. A lot of those guys overwhelmed in protection. You saw them all. You saw Kenny McIntosh come in and have absolutely no issues whatsoever and actually do some great things. And that's going to be that running back position coach, again, in this system where the details matter is an important piece. And having continuity with the voice those guys trust, Charbonnet and Ken and Kenny, I think an important keep there. So I like seeing Polamalu on the staff heading into next year.
All right, question number 2. Obviously, we'll continue to talk quarterbacks, and in the draft, it is not supposed to be a great quarterback class. What did I see read this morning? Someone saying that they didn't really think any of these quarterbacks were going to be, difference makers in the NFL, but some of them will continue to ascend here over the next few weeks. Other than Jackson Dart, what other quarterback has the best opportunity to really move up the depth chart?
Yeah, this was a name that I was hearing down at the Senior Bowl, and I think DJ will, again, add on to this with his week down there. But the kid out of Louisville, Tyler Shuck. And it looks like Shough, S-H-O-U-G-H, but it's Shuck. And he is a talented dude. Now, he's old, right? So maybe he has some of the advantage, and he's going to be playing off of hold on. Penix was 24, Nix was 24, and having 6 years, 7 years in college is not the worst thing in the world. And this dude's bounced around now. Started at Oregon, started some games there, got hurt, went to Texas Tech, started some games, got hurt, went to Louisville last year and put on some tape that was like, whoa. 6'5", 225, good-looking athlete, super clean release, had a good Senior Bowl week. You're going to hear his name. You're going to be a top 3-round guy, and depending on the combine and workouts and everything else, I think Dart and Shuck were the 2 guys out of Mobile that drew the most attention. I don't expect that changing over the next
I thought you were going
months.
to talk about the guy from Syracuse.
Yeah, he reminds me of Cutler a little bit.
Oh,
not
really?
personality-wise.
Okay, well, that's good.
Not personality-wise. And he'll be a big combine for him as well. The Ohio State transfer that put up a gazillion yards last year and turned them. So there will be some more. I guess this draft last was like 6, and then the next one was Spencer Rattler, like the 5th round. This one has obviously Cam and Shaduri at the top, and then it will be kind of fascinating. That's Kyle McCord you're talking about from Syracuse. Kyle McCord, a Tyler Shuck, a Jackson Dart, a Jalen Milroe. There's going to be some intrigue 2 through 5, rounds 2 through 5 with some of those different traits those guys bring.
All right, question number 3. So now that Clint Kubiak is here, he's got to try to evaluate and address, I'm assuming, the offensive line. What does that look like?
Yeah, what's an important component in this? It's what Robbie Tobeck talked about last week. Center is not a throwaway piece. And unlike guards, so I was looking last night at, I mentioned the top 50 list and how many guards just proliferated that list. And yesterday I was looking at top 100, same thing. My gosh, there must have been 15 or 20 guards in the top 100 free agents. You know how many centers there were in the top 100 free agents? 2. Drew Dahlman out of Atlanta, and he may get franchised and signed and never a free agent. There aren't many long-term answers in free agency at center, which will make Dahlman the primary beneficiary if he reaches the open market. Any team that deploys an outside zone rushing scheme will be all over the former 4th-round pick. Dahlman's got room to grow as a pass protector, but one of the best run-blocking centers in the NFL, and will continue the growth of the interior offensive line market. So that's it. And then there's Ryan Kelly, our buddy that we almost drafted like 10 years ago, who's coming off knee surgery, banged up, considering retirement, like he's in the 80s. That's it. So there's not a lot of guys at that position available. You asked about Olu earlier. Athletically, this system going to be a little bit of a challenge for him, because athletically he doesn't move and run really, really well, and that is the part that you need of a Jeff Saturday, of a Robbie Tobeck, of a center that can get to that second level. Think of, obviously, Kelsey, Jason, one of the best at that for a long time. So, yeah, we'll ask DJ that. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got like 7 DJ questions.
As you should. Well, we have a half hour with them, so.
I'm going to guess this draft doesn't just have some meat and potatoes linemen, guards. I think there may be a center or 2 available as well.
All right, that is today's Blue 88. A little football talk, and there's a lot of football today after getting the opportunity to meet Clint Kubiak. I'm just struggling with his name. I keep wanting to call him Gary. Well, I want to call him Gary, obviously, and then it takes me a moment to try to remember. And it's also the day the pitchers and catchers reported for duty, Brock, today, which is great. Hoping maybe to get to talk to Brian Wu either later today or maybe even tape it for tomorrow. We're trying to work that out. I went through some of the Fangraph projections with you earlier on the offensive side. On the pitching side, there's not a lot of surprise. No. I mean, it's sort of each one is a slightly different order, but some combination of Gilbert or Kirby or Gilbert, then Castillo, and then Miller, then Wu. And that was pretty standard and surprised me a little bit. I thought Bryce Miller might move up just because of the consistency. When you start really looking at his numbers last year, he was so good, so consistent. I mean, Brian Wu at times was the best pitcher on the team, but just the lack of innings and the injury and stuff, it's going to always hurt you in these projections. Bryce Miller didn't really have any of that last year. He was so good.
Yep, I would agree. And those 5 combined are the best in all of baseball, right? When you talk about a pitching rotation.
It sure seems that way. I mean, look, the Braves are going to get Spencer Strider back here. That's going to help them quite a bit.
The Dodgers have 12 starting.
Right. I mean, like, it's not like you can just say that.
Yeah.
But I think it's always worth saying arguably, right? They're certainly in the conversation. Does it matter if they're the best or if they're the third best? I don't know. I mean, like, some of that is just, again, kind of.
It's like Andy McKay was saying to us about Williamson. Is he the best, right? Is minor league infielder? And there's argument, and there's metrics to tell you yes, but there's no way you're not going to say he's one of the best. I think it's the same thing with this rotation. Are they better than the Dodgers? Are they better than the Braves? Are they better?
Well, it's also worth noting that
it's, but they're right in that.
This is again according to Szymborski's, and his projections maybe just like younger players. He's got some names on his reliever list that I honestly don't even really know, that he thinks will be more valuable than guys that you do. Ahead of Trent Thornton, ahead of Emerson Hancock, etc. He's got Reed Van Scoter, number 9.
Reed.
We've heard of him. Adam Seminaris, 10. Michael Morales, then Edward Bizzardo. Dylan File. Blas Castano. I didn't mean to. Blas Castano. And then eventually Gabe Spire and Trent Thornton and Jackson Kowar. So, I don't know, maybe some of these young guys that we don't know a lot about are going to end up playing a much bigger factor in this season than we expected.
Bizzardo's still around?
Eduardo Bizzardo is still here. And you know what? He kind of likes him. Sees him as the 12th best pitcher as a member of this Mariners staff this year. All right. Coming up, Brock, both McDonald and Kubiak put their support behind Gino over the last few days. So, if Gino's going to be here for the next few years, what do you do next? That's coming up on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
All right, and Clint Kubiak, your brand new OC, joining us right now in studio. What were some of the weapons here you were most intrigued by, or maybe you kind of started thinking once you knew you got the job, like?
Obviously, it starts with the quarterback. Really impressed with Gino, DK, Jax, Noah Fant. There's a lot of pieces to be excited about, but there's also going to be some new pieces we add to the roster. That's a really fun part of coaching is getting to be a part of guys' careers.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
The Cantina at Silver Reef is an experience for your senses. The smells, the sounds, the flavors is a night you deserve. Experience the experience at the Cantina at Silver Reef today. Serving traditionally inspired dishes made with the finest authentic ingredients. This is one experience that you can enjoy more than once in a lifetime. Experience it today at Silver Reef Casino Resort in Ferndale, Washington. And visit our website, silverreefcasino.com, to check out our menu.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It is that time of year, homeowners. You start thinking about that roof with all of the rain and probably snow coming, and you wonder, do I need a new roof? Do I need a repair? Or even what is happening up there? Well, I was thinking the same thing, so I had Asset Roofing come out and do a full inspection for me, and they were extremely professional. The communication was great every step of the way, and the best part is they sent me a detailed report with pictures showing me what they saw and gave me the recommendations. And what you really need is an expert on your side, and Asset Roofing is on my side. Allow them to work for you too, especially if your home is surrounded by trees like mine is, which leads to the moss growth that was happening. Your roof is supposed to last upwards of 20 years, so a yearly inspection is a very small price to pay for adding to the lifespan of your roof, saving you big money down the road and giving you peace of mind. Find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and I want to share my awesome experience we just had with Window Nation. When we bought our home in Edmonds, Washington, we noticed some of the windows needed to be replaced. Our living room was cold and drafty in the winter, and it was hot and stale in the summer. But after a lot of research and a few bids, we chose Window Nation to replace our windows. From the first consultation to the final installation, their team was professional, friendly, and incredibly knowledgeable. Window Nation offered a wide variety of high-quality, energy-efficient windows that not only look great, but we immediately noticed the difference in the comfort of our home. And the best part was the installation process. The crew arrived on time, worked efficiently, and they left our home spotless. It's the best home improvement project we've ever done.
Call Window Nation today and see the difference. Right now, save 60% on all windows and pay nothing for 2 years. Visit windownation.com or call 866-90-NATION to schedule your free in-home estimate and get 60% off. That's windownation.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
So here's the deal with Mariners season ticket memberships. You got two great options. With a Flex membership, you have the freedom to pick your seats, games, and number of tickets whenever you want. Or if you like knowing where you're sitting all season long, go with a reserved membership and lock in your seats from day one. Both plans get you access to exclusive pre-sales, year-round discounts, special event invites, and more. Check it out at mariners.com/25.
Now Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners.
Stream every Seattle sports show with the Seattle Sports app. Brought to you by Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. Get new videos, podcasts, and articles on the Seahawks and Mariners from your favorite Seattle sports personalities daily.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to do you a minute.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello!
So McDonald and Kubiak made it pretty clear yesterday, Brock. They were putting their support behind Geno Smith. He's in all likelihood, and we'll wait and see. Obviously, a deal still would need to be worked out. They made it sound anyway as if they were on board with Geno being here long-term as a quarterback.
And by the way, do you think they do that as publicly yesterday if they don't know that maybe negotiations and some conversations are at least going the
I
right
think
way?
that that's a fairly good guess. I would probably, and it just seems like the conversation around by people that know what's going on has all turned in that direction. Should it be? I don't know. It was interesting. Both Michelle Smallman and Kurt Warner yesterday, I wouldn't say either. We're like, oh yeah, definitely commit to Geno. Go, go, go.
I'd say that Kurt was on the, and Kurt's words were he is a really good starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Michelle's were relatively effective. So I would say those were not exactly the same.
But Kurt also said can he get to that other level? We'll see. And
That's
at 35, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that Kubiak seems to want him here.
Geno is a very aggressive player, have a lot of production. Obviously, he's been doing it for a long time. He's overcome a lot in his career. I have a lot of respect for Geno. It was a huge draw to come here and be able to get to coach him. alongside Andrew Janoko. So we have high expectations for him. We're going to push Gino and get the best out of him, and we'll do that by pushing his teammates as well. It's not just his show. It's a team thing, and he's got to be the head of that.
Okay, so let's assume this gets done. Then what? What do you do to commit around Gino or not over the course of the next year or so in the rest of this offseason? I got 4 or 5 questions for you, Brock, and maybe we can try to run through them.
All right, and before you do, can I just tell you, I spent a little time last night. You eat as much beef short rib. It's a fattier cut like brisket.
Sure.
And some mashed potatoes. I let all the juices and fats just kind of pour into those potatoes in the bowl. It was just phenomenal.
Okay.
So I had some time on my back to just think for a little bit. And you know what I actually thought of, Salk? Along these lines, I actually thought of Jared Goff going to the Detroit Lions and what did they do to surround him?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Jared continues to be a pretty good comp.
All right.
I think if you asked Kurt Warner a couple years ago about Jared Goff, he'd say he's a really good starting quarterback. He's really tough. He's pretty good in the end. There's some non-negotiables there that he checks off like Gino. So what did Detroit do? It may play right into these questions you're going to ask me.
All right. Well, then let's run through it. The first one is, what do you do with DK? Do you sign him? Do you trade him? Do you let it play out one more year and then let him walk? I mean, what do you do with DK Metcalf if you're signing Geno Smith?
Yeah, to me, that one would be like June. Honestly, it's like Charles Cross. It is, I said earlier in the week, your linebacker is top priority. He continues to be. Ernest Jones not in the top 10, top 20, top 50 of these free agents. So I'd really like to see, that's like business that's got to get done first. DK, or Gino also likewise with the March deadline at the new league year and all the gear. Like, get those things done. Get Charles done. And then DK, we'll talk to you in June or July. Right? Honestly, that would be the way I would.
So you're keeping, but then that means you're keeping DK, because once you get to June or July, you're not trading him at that point, in all likelihood, because you'd want picks now rather than after the draft. Mm-hmm. So what I hear you say is you're going to figure out a way to sign DK Metcalf. You're just going to wait and try to get him at a lower number.
That's right.
Okay.
Or you get into camp, and that happens, Salk. We see trades in July.
Generally not marquee players like that.
Yeah.
Marquee players in July?
When was Jamal Adams traded for?
Yeah, but those are guys that are like holding out and all of that.
I mean,
and I guess that's possible. DK could do the same.
DK does.
No, that's
see
true.
What he does this whole offseason.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right.
Yep. That's
so that's the first question. Second one: how do you build this offensive line? Are you doing it? I know it's going to be both free agency and the draft.
Yes.
But is it premier free agency and lower in the draft? Is it, top pick in the draft and around the edges in free agency? If you're spending that money on Geno, and I know it's going to help you a little bit short term with your cap hit, what does that look like for building your offensive line around him?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. Detroit had Frank Ragnow in place. They extended him. They drafted Penei Sewell. That was a premium top 10 pick, obviously, that helped them a bunch. Decker, their tackle, they had drafted. They extended him. So they made sure they gave Jared Goff all of the resources up front. Big money to those three guys. And you know what? That's not too different than what Philadelphia has done with Jalen Hurts. And Jalen's younger, more dynamic than Geno. He's won playoff games. He just was a Super Bowl MVP, so I'm not putting him in that wagon. But, there is some comp of, hey, man, Jalen can't do everything. And Geno, in many ways, is a more accurate passer. Jalen, a much better runner. But there's a back and forth, at least conversation to be had. And what did Philadelphia do? Same thing. We bolster that group up front. So the answer to your question there is a definitive yes. Do we spend in free agency on a number of these guard opportunities? Yes. We don't do a third wave Laken Tomlinson broken down. No, we're going to spend in the first wave on exactly the guy that this new O-line coach and this new OC want. You spend on him. Is it a center? Is it a guard? I don't care. You get exactly the premium first wave interior player those two guys want. And then you go in that draft, and as DJ has said to us, they're starter in the second round, right? At 18. At 18, if this kid out of Alabama, who I did see in a mock, fall to you, if he falls to you there and you love him and he is a generational power difference maker, 340-pound mover of men, then take him at 18. So I think the answer to me there is yes.
The problem I have with those strategies, and I think you got to choose one direction or the other with it. not that I don't want them to commit to offensive line. I do, and I want it committed to above every other position on the offense other than quarterback. But the desire for something elite is not going away from me. And how do you determine which position group you can allow or create dominance in? You're not, in all likelihood, going to create a dominant offensive line overnight. So maybe this is a 2, 3, 4 year project, in which case, great. I'm all on board for that.
I don't think that's.
But you think you could be dominant overnight? You were just talking about how it took Detroit all that time. Like, dominant, Brock, not good. Dominant on the level of Detroit, on the level of Baltimore, on the level of Philly. You think you could do that next year?
I don't think you can go to dominant, but let's say you're 30th this year, kind of like the Seahawks defense, the run defense. It was 30th this year and got to 13th. Yeah, you can do that.
I believe that. But I'm talking dominant. What could you do with your defense, and especially your front seven this year? You could make it dominant. You could make it one of the best in the game. I don't think you can do that with the offensive line overnight. And that's not to say you shouldn't work to make your offensive line better. I just said I think you should do that. But you've got an opportunity to create real dominance. And whether that's a trade for Myles Garrett, a free agent, I don't know who else fits that bill, or whether it's spending another high draft pick on someone on the defense.
Absolutely. Yes. So if you okay, yeah, that's fine. Great. Awesome. Detroit did that too. Drafted Aiden Hutchinson,
right.
drafted Onwuzurike, and drafted McNeil. It was O-line and D-line with him, just like Philadelphia, O-line and D-line. And those are the two Goliaths right now in the NFC whose resources on the O-line and D-line are better than yours. So if at 18, all of a sudden one of these D tackles or that, the DN, the freaky kid out of A&M that didn't have the production but has all the other stuff, he's there, Shamar, whatever, and you're like, yeah. Would I hate that? Absolutely not.
Good.
Spend on first wave guard or center. Draft the single best big body guy, and if it's a D tackle, D end at 18, great. But in that second round, that better be a difference-making starting guard, not we can.
Right, we could try to turn this into something.
We could take some
last
spare parts
question
and make that
quickly
work.
here.
Yes.
If you're signing Geno and saying, all right, he's our guy next year, are you fully committed, or are you looking to draft a successor at the same time?
Well, there's some great intrigue, as I mentioned to you. There's a Will Howard, there's a McCord, there's a Shuck, there's a Milroe. There are some intriguing guys that could be there in the third or fourth round.
Okay, so will you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Because we just said essentially 3 priorities. There are 3 priorities then, if that's what you're saying. One is the offensive line. Mm-hmm. One is the making a dominant defense up front. And the third is looking for a mid-round quarterback. Can you rank those for me? Do it part of Need to Know next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
Have I ever told you how much I enjoy doing the Hot Stove Show? Every day. This is truly one of the best ways that we have to get to know some of these guys. Long-form conversation. You don't have the pressures of the season. You're not in the clubhouse, right? There's not a hitters meeting or a pitchers meeting to go to. I think we get some of our very best stuff from all these guys, players and coaches, front office members, right here each and every week during the winter.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
Love that show. And I got 60 seconds to give you my very best stuff right now. And it's easy to do so because First Mark Insurance and taking the First Mark Challenge was one of the best things Molly and I did some years ago. Frustrated with our insurance, frustrated with our carrier. Our premiums are going up. What is even covered? Making assumptions that we didn't have actually full answers and information to. That is where First Mark came to play. We took the First Mark Challenge like so many have. And not only has it saved us a ton of money the last couple of years? It's given us comfort. It's taken the stress and confusion of insurance out, and we know now exactly what we have covered, and we know and we trust we got the best deal. Why? Because First Mark will fully analyze your current coverage like they did ours, making sure you're not overpaying for the wrong coverage. Then, unlike you and me, they go to the market. Dozens of major carriers they've worked with to find you the best fit. That's it. No stress, no confusion. Think of it this way. They're your teammate, and they spent the last 30 years in the game helping thousands of families, including mine, successfully manage this world of insurance. So don't wait a morning longer. Take the First Mark Challenge. It's totally free, and you might be the next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Firstmarkinsurance.com. Your teammate that goes to work for you.
Ooh, ma.
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get ready for an unforgettable adventure at Le Mans, America's car museum in Tacoma. Marvel at over 300 world-class automobiles and 100 years of history. Don't miss the Shinka exhibit, featuring nearly 50 iconic Japanese sports cars. Feel the thrill of driving a Formula One car on the exhilarating race simulators. There's fun for everyone, so grab your friends or the whole family and plan your visit Thursday to Monday. Learn more at americascarmuseum.org.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on the largest savings opportunities on the largest inventory of Tacomas, Tundras, Prius, and the BZ4X. The incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland is all in on your car buying experience. They'll set you up with a test drive and you can take that car home on the same day. Come on down to Toyota of Kirkland and get all in on the best deals with the best inventory. Check out their wonderful showroom today or go all in online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien. Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found in G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, super exciting that today is the day pitchers and catchers report in Peoria, Brock. I love
This
it.
is the day. This is the day that baseball's made. Yes.
I don't know what that is.
This is the day that the Lord has made.
Ah,
I was just going to say
a little
this
worship?
is the day that the pitchers and catchers.
I didn't know we were going to worship music
Yeah, a little
today.
bit of worship.
I appreciate that.
That's better than that Unsolved Mysteries jingle that gives me the weebie-jeebies.
I don't know.
every time.
They're both good in the right spot. You just have to know exactly when to use them. It's all about context. Pitchers and catchers have reported. That doesn't mean a whole lot, but it does mean everyone's there. A lot of the guys are already there anyway.
Well, it
a lot
means
of the
a whole
players are
lot
working
as long
out.
as we don't hear anything.
That's right. You may get
this
medicals
can be a day
today.
that it's like, well, actually, his lap. We know Troy
That's
Taylor's
true.
going to start a little banged up. And
I think
what
we'd
about
honestly
the
have heard a lot of
idea?
that.
What about Gregory? We don't know about Gregory the
I
last
think we'd have
couple
heard
weeks.
a lot of that because all those guys have been there. Gregory Santos has been there. Matt Brash has been there. All these guys, Jackson Coher, they've all been there. So today is the medicals, and that's great. And the first workout will be tomorrow. And obviously, this group of pitchers and catchers, because you got to include Cal in there, is about as exciting as anything on this team. Cal, Gold Glover, Platinum Glove winner, was talking yesterday with the Hot Stove Show and explains how we got there.
I think, I can look at it even from both sides of the ball, hitting and catching, and just really realizing there's so much more, than just what happens when you show up and debut. There's a whole nother side to it, and you're going to have to keep getting better. It's not like you get to the big leagues and it's like, all right, all the work's done. Now you just go play. It's like, now you just started. Like, this is a whole nother beast, whole nother level animal that you have to keep getting better and working hard and doing things like that. And, realizing that, you search for answers and you look for people to surround yourself with or, doing the right things and just trying to get better each day, even in the off season. So things like that.
And we certainly have not done enough of that. And we is the collective we. That's all of us in this market. We were frustrated. We're frustrated more impact wasn't made. We're frustrated more money wasn't spent. We're frustrated, that this roster and adding on to this once in a generation rotation, we are. And I understand all of that, and that's fair. But we, I think, have given short shrift to the fact that what if these guys do get better? What if Cal takes yet another step and Julio takes another step? Why do we have to just assume that they're not going to improve and build upon what they've done as young players already in this league? Because if they do, that's how you do become the Houston Astros.
That's right.
Altuve got better. Alvarez got better. Correa got better. They became good to great to stars and difference makers. And let's hope some of your young guns and your young studs can do the exact same.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Clint Kubiak is here, and Brock, it sounds like he understands the Salk dictum that if you want to run the ball, you have to run the ball.
Dictum?
Sure. We still haven't figured out what it is.
No, that was not dictum. That was not the word we used earlier. What was the word you used? Salk.
Let's just play Clint Kubiak.
Our identity is going to be a running football team. It starts with Coach Benton and his approach. Just really impressed with his ability as a teacher, number one. I think he's an excellent teacher. The way he runs the room, holds his guys accountable, and I've just seen the way he leads men and he schemes is excellent.
A dictum is a formal pronouncement from an authoritative source.
You
Isn't
did
that what
not
this
say
is?
to Mike McDonald.
A short statement
Mike,
that
I wanna
expresses
give
a
you-
general truth or principle. A dictum.
No, that's the right
That's
word
what it is.
now.
That is the right word. After all
Is
of
it?
our searching,
Okay.
right? We talked about it being a doctrine. It's not really a doctrine.
Salk doctrine, that's what it was.
It's
It was
not
the
a doctrine. It's a dictum.
And the difference between a dictum and a doctrine is what?
Well, doctrine is, I think, written. You have to write a doctrine. A dictum is a short statement that expresses a general truth or principle. How is that not exactly what this is?
Exactly what it is.
It's a dictum.
Guess what? If you want to run the ball, run the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You can't run the ball if you don't run the ball.
I think you're going to like this old school online coach.
A doctrine is generally taught by the church, a political party, or another group,
take
or a
politics out.
stated principle of government policy. So I don't think it's really a doctrine. It's a dictum. It's the Salk dictum.
And I think it was. Never mind.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Why are you laughing? It's just.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why you think this is
How
funny.
do you spell that?
Dictum.
All right.
A dictum. Oh,
It does fit you better than doctrine.
it really does.
It really does.
Yeah, no, I would say you're
it's
right
like
about
kind
that.
of just a
Yeah.
sawed-off little premium.
I'm glad we glad we figured this out. I'm glad we stumbled across
Get it
the
together,
right word.
boys.
What? Huh? What are you talking about? Geno Smith, we just did this. That's everything you need to know.
No, yeah, I got a ranking. You wanted a ranking?
Yeah, I do. That's why I want to spend a couple minutes on the ranking.
right.
So, Brock, 3, this is sort of the third thing I guess you need to know. If you've got free agency, you've got your first, let's call it 3 rounds or so of the draft, and you've got some 3 priorities that we talked about. O-line.
Yeah.
Defensive dominance.
Yeah, to me, this is really easy. It's O-line 1, and it's first wave of free agency and a top 3 round pick, and preferably a top 2 round pick.
Okay.
Second is to further enhance. You've, I think, swung me on that one, is you are borderline elite. Become elite. Become elite. Have something that you got to deal with us. And that defensive line room and that front 7 has an opportunity to take that step. So it's O-line because that has been the bugaboo.
Okay, so help me here.
And then you got 4th round pick, 3rd round pick. If you love a quarterback there, and you got some resources with compensatory picks to go up in that 3rd round, if you really love one of those guys there.
If you have an opportunity, then I know it's not as simple as this, but this is sort of perfect world. Free agent, 1st round pick, 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick. Top free agent and your top 3 picks. How would you slot those in?
Yeah, probably 2 and 2.
No,
2
but
O-line,
where?
2 D-line.
Where?
Free agent is the O-line.
Free agent, O-line.
Free agent is a young.
Okay, so let's say you get a good O-lineman as your top free agent.
Guard or center.
Then what are you doing? Again, perfect world, no names. What are you doing with your number 18 pick?
Yeah, the absolute best big body dude, and I don't care if he's a guard, center, D end, D tackle.
Okay,
that guy's got to be 280 plus pounds.
Okay, and then with your 2nd round pick,
yeah,
the same.
Round, yeah, I think
the opposite, right? If you go
in the second round, there might be a tight end. By the way, second round there might be a freaky tight end that is going to be such an ideal fit,
especially if he's a
system.
blocking tight end, right? That fits with this system.
Yes,
and then in the 3rd round, maybe then you're okay looking at one of these quarterbacks or something like that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, you could sell me on that pretty quickly. I
think I just did.
Count me sold on whatever you just said. All right.
See, I'm more of a
we've got a
doctrine
question,
guy, and you're more of a dictum guy.
I've always considered myself.
Yes.
To be that, Brock. All right, coming up next, we're going to ask Daniel Jeremiah a question I bet he's never been asked by anybody. It's next on Brock and Salk.
When you're running the hurry up and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcast on demand.
How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought?
Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
He is your new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Find us on seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
All signs continue to point to it being the right hire.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Seahawks.
All right, Mike Salk here, and I know I can speak for everybody. By the time Sunday was over, right, the big game, sure, everyone was ready for like a full cleanse. It probably was the 7-layer dip or the bags of chips or the wings or the pizza, the other dips, everything else that was consumed all over the Seattle area, Western Washington on Sunday. Well, all right, so that's a cheat day, luckily, built into the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan for me, which means this week I don't feel sluggish, and neither should you. I'm just right back on track, no problem whatsoever. Look, it's 15 minutes. That's all it takes. So just do a phone consult with these guys. Do it this week, just while you're sitting in traffic or driving to pick up your kids or whatever. And then you're going to find there's no dieting or counting calories, no boxed or packaged food, no pills, injections, no surgery with any side effects, nothing like that. I'm talking healthy, quality, tasty, real food, great recipes. I made a Texas beef chili last night that was unfreaking believable. And the plan works. It's natural. You will lose weight while still looking like yourself, just younger and slimmer. Dr. Coogan, Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, they've helped over 4,000 people in our area lose up to a pound a day, and I'm one of them. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be... Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business.
Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it, and will beat any print quote.
Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs.
No problem.
I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens.
Totally.
I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing.
I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. PBR bucks into Angel of the Winds Arena in Everett Friday, February 14th and Saturday, February 15th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
Do you need a new roof? Don't wait for summer to replace it. 3 Tree Roofing is here to help you save big this winter. Avoid summer's higher prices and longer wait times and protect your home's integrity now. Visit 3treeroofing.com for your free on-site estimate. Our certified installers make it easy and worry-free, no matter the season. Don't wait. Book your estimate today at 3treeroofing.com. Mention this ad and get $500 off your roof replacement. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
Overburdened with a bunch of stuff you don't want anymore, but feel bad throwing it away? John here with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We prioritize donating and recycling. We'll help get your items to those in need instead of going to the landfill. At Happy Hauler, we pride ourselves on responsibility, community, and sustainability. We're a family-run small business that provides junk removal, donations, and recycling. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. It's time to reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We always try to be different, right, Brock? We always try to be a little different from the crowd. We try to ask questions that maybe not everybody is going to ask. And so when you get opportunities to chat with folks like Daniel Jeremiah throughout this entire football season, how much fun that's been. And it really has been. This has been great. This started a few years ago with Matt Hasselbeck doing every Wednesday, and that was awesome. And then after a year with Matt, it was moved on to KJ Wright, and we did 2 years with KJ, which was pretty incredible as well. In fact, I just had somebody ask me about that the other day. He was like, man, he's like, I love DJ, but man, I just KJ was such a cool, unique experience, and that was great for a couple of years. And then getting to talk to DJ every Wednesday this year has been, I think, really enlightening, eye-opening, a guy who just gives you a really in-depth, knowledgeable perspective on what's going on in this game.
Mm-hmm. He's like talking to a GM, right? I mean, he's connected with all of these GMs, like having our own GM.
It's sort of like having that. And so we've got to ask him for what may be our last regular deal today. We've got a question. God, he looks so much like Justin Thomas. It just bugs me out. Like every time I see you on that screen, I'm just like, oh my God, it's JT staring at me. Daniel Jeremiah joining us right now. Move the Sticks, NFL Network. What's up, man? How are you?
Well, I appreciate that. And my golf clubs are just over to the left here. I could. Oh, here you go. Here you go. Here's what this.
Oh, there's a little ball. Oh, look at that.
Look, it's Justin Herbert's face. It's Justin Herbert's face on a golf ball.
See, there's a good reason for everybody to be watching on video.
Yeah.
All right.
True story. I got some new clubs. And I played a couple weeks ago, and I hit the iron, and it was like an 8-iron, and I hit it well, but then I looked down, and the face of the club is blue, and I thought, gosh, did I get a defective club? Like, what is going on? Like this, like something's peeling off on this. And then I got up to my ball and I realized I hit Justin Herbert's face, and it just scraped the jersey off of his face. So that's what it was.
Poor Justin. How would he feel about that? That's very sad.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right,
and by the way, if you could see, I can't show you with the thing right now with the camera, but I have got like on my desk, I've been staying up till 11, 12 every night I'm just watching guys getting ready for the combine. So I've got my notes.
Oh my gosh.
I've got okay, here's Senior Bowl flip where I have some information on there. You want to know how organized I am? This is what I use. This is what I use for my. That's how we're going to.
All right, wait, I'm looking at that. I see. Okay, yeah. So DT.
So we're done with
edge,
defensive linemen.
Offensive
we're
line.
We finished D lineman last night.
Yeah.
We're going to crank out the O lineman today.
There's something
tomorrow.
that's missing on that list that we've got to ask you about. In fact, we were just saying we may be the only people in America to ask you about this question, but before I do it, let me play you this. This was Clint Kubiak, okay? He was asked about his favorite personnel groupings, and this is what he said yesterday.
Certainly love playing with a fullback.
Whoa. First thing he says is, I love playing with a fullback. He goes on from there.
Like being in 21-12 personnel. Again, that's going to come down to the strength of our players, who we have on our roster, and let's use the best 11 out there. Let's get the 5 best eligibles deployed out into the route scheme. So those are things we're working on right now, who that's going to be. But we got to adapt as coaches to our best players on the roster.
All right, DJ, who's the best fullback in this draft?
Well, as you can see by my calendar, running backs are going to get finished up on Saturday. But I can tell you right now, this is what I'm curious about. Hardly anybody's playing with fullbacks in college, right? Brock, you don't see hardly any of them. Mm-hmm. But the trend, and I've seen it. I see it with the Ravens, with Ricard, who is a defensive lineman, who's playing some tight end, who's been a Pro Bowl fullback. I see it with Scott Matlock with the Chargers, who's a 300-pound defensive tackle / fullback, who they use as a weapon back there. And in this draft, like, just if you want one of those type of guys who, look, they can get in the flat and catch the ball. You're not going to be running angle routes with them. You're not going to be. It's not bar none William Floyd here that we're dealing with. But you've got guys who can lead up in there, can be physical, and then you can check the ball down to him if you want to. But we've got Willie Lampkin, who's it was at the Senior Bowl. He's 5'10", so he's 5'10" center from North Carolina, 5'10" and change. He's 270 pounds, so he's an undersized, but he's like a state wrestler. Like, he's big time. Strong, wired, just real compact dude. He's going to get workouts at fullback. So that's like a fun one to keep an eye on. If you watched Ole Miss at all last year, they have a defensive tackle who I really like. And JJ, it's either Pegues or Pegues. I'll figure that out before he gets to the line in Indianapolis. But he's 320 pounds, and they use him. Lane used him as a wildcat. Lane used him as an H-back. He used him as a wing. He had him play in line at times.
But what about a Kyle Juszczyk? Why aren't there more Kyle Juszczyks? As valuable as he has been to San Francisco, like, why can't there be more of those guys? Max Strongs, John L. Williams. Why can't there be great fullbacks?
I think you're going to see those guys in the like Harold Fannin from Bowling Green would probably fit into that mix. You're going to find kind of the sawed-off tight ends. Like that's the position group that those guys are going to come from. If that's what you're looking for with a use check type, you're going to pull them out of the undersized tight end pile.
I assume all those guys are just playing linebacker now, right? Like if they're coming up and they're built like those old fullbacks we're talking about, people are like, well, if you can run like that, there's a lot more money to be made and a lot more options as a linebacker, so go do that.
Yeah, I just there's only so many teams that are playing with fullbacks, and I'm telling you, like teams have, in terms of using them like a true weapon in the pass game, and use check, obviously would fall into that. You go back to the old school Tom Rathman, like all those types of guys. They are very, very few and far between. Everybody else has just tried to say, okay, let's just try and get somebody that we can cross train at the position.
Over the decades, where is Daniel Jeremiah's biggest hit rate, and where's your miss rate? Where have you, through the years, just had an eye if it's a position group and your hit rate on them is just rock solid versus, boy, I still got some room to grow in this area?
Well, sometimes it morphs and changes, but for the most part, if you're going to go overall batting average, I would say offensive line is probably where I've had the most stability, and had some success there.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I would say on the other side of it, to be even on the defensive side of the ball, I would say the further you get from the ball, the more challenging it is. I just think when you're watching offense and defensive linemen, it's man to man, it's combat, right? And so you can look and you can see, like I wrote down this when I was finishing up the defensive lineman. I wrote down vets. I just wrote down VETS. I'm looking for very explosive, twitchy guys, like just VET. That's all I'm trying to find. And you can find those guys, and you can work with those guys. I can see that. Like I've just doing it long enough where you can see the guys that can have some explosion, have some twitch, hopefully some bend and athleticism to go in there. And then you're going to have something to work with. The floor is very high when you find those types of players. And then conversely on the offensive line, when you see guys who have size, who can anchor, who have core strength, and who play with intelligence, they can overcome some of the other limitations that you might possess.
Well,
so that's why the batting averages can be higher there. Safeties is low. It's just you can hide at safety for games, series of games or years, and then you can get exposed real quick. So that's my lowest hit rate, I would say.
Well, Clint Kubiak used that word of just intelligence, talking about offensive line. So in obviously right now, what is it, mid-February, the Combine's in 2 weeks. You're going to sharpen your pencil an awful lot between now and then, and even more so to the draft. But right now, DJ, if I said, give me your 3 favorite centers and your 3 favorite guards, and what did Clint Kubiak? Smart, tough, dependable. Smart was right there at the top of the list. Smart, tough, dependable in this scheme where you got to process, where you got to move. This outside zone scheme and this Kubiak tree. So give me your 3 favorite centers, your 3 favorite guards thus far that you think would be a home run fit.
Well, I'll just go center off the top right from the jump. Gray Zabel is outstanding from North Dakota State. He's over 6'5". He's 316 pounds. He was dominant at the Senior Bowl. I think he's got a chance to go in the 20s when this is all said and done. Like that's kind of the range of where it could start from. Probably goes 20 to 40, in that mix there. He's the one center for sure that jumps off. Now I've got to do more of those guys. I'll stumble into some more centers as we go along. That's clearly the one of the top, guys who are recommended to me as top 50 players. Like he was that guy. The interior guys, you can move some of these guys around. Some of them will get opportunities to play center as well. But like if you're talking about the next 3 interior offensive linemen, because I've stacked them. The way I stack them is I stack them with offensive tackles and then IOL, because so many guys, we've seen it that, guards and centers and guards, and I've just clumped those guys together over the last few years. So you've got Tyler Booker from Alabama, who's huge, who's, almost 6'5", he's 320 pounds, but can move, is really, really smart. Like, when they tell you he's the Will Anderson of their offense there, for guys who have been there for a long time, and in terms of intelligence, leadership, intangibles off the charts. The tape's really good. Armand Membo from Missouri would be right there behind him. They're very close. I have Booker at 14, Membo at 17, and then Donovan Jackson from Ohio State is my 31st player who you've seen. I mean, He's just steady. He hung in there at tackle when he had to kick out there, but he's absolutely going to be a guard. But all those guys are going to be outstanding day one starters, plug and play. You're not going to have to worry about those guys at all.
And
so the next center, by the way, I'm looking at through my notes. The next center I have is Jared Wilson from Georgia, but he's not really a great fit there. He's kind of a mauler brawler type.
Okay.
But you got 24 defensive line starters in this draft?
Yeah, I finished them up, and I was like, golly, I feel like I've got a lot of these dudes. So then I went and counted them, and then I went back, and that's defensive tackles. That
doesn't even include edge guys.
That's not talking about the edge guys. Defensive tackles. So I've never had anything close to that. And so to put it in perspective, I went back and went through last year's list, and I had 12. It's literally twice as many.
So when you say that, all right, there are going to be
draft.
24 defensive tackles that you think are starters in this draft. How deep into the draft can you find the 20 through 24th of those guys? Are they all going to go in the first 2 rounds? Is that into the third and fourth round that
Those
you can
guys,
get that?
You're going to get one in the 5th round. You're going to get it. And so the way that I phrase that, with our grading scale that we had in Baltimore, it goes from backups. You have backup players, role players, backup players, potential starters, which you're saying these guys have a chance to be starters. That's the classification of grade for this group of players, potential starters. Then you have eventual starters, which is above them, which you're saying, I guarantee you they will start. It might not be year 1, but they will start within the first couple years. And then you can go on to being, exceptional starters, Pro Bowl starters, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of, like, the grade is a 61. And I had 24 players above the line of a 61 player. So you're going to get 61 players in this draft. Probably you can get one in the 4th, 5th round.
It's a lot of big people, man.
It is, and it kind of brings me back to the question I asked you, Brock, and I'll throw it at DJ here. So, yesterday Kubiak was pretty firm in his commitment to Geno Smith. Earlier this week, Mike McDonald was also pretty firm. There wasn't the kind of vague, giving yourself an out kind of thing that you sometimes get from coaches. It sounded like they want Geno Smith back. Okay, so that conversation maybe starts to come to an end. They're going to go with Geno. If we assume that's true, how do you go about trying to fill what Brock and I sort of determined as maybe their 3 biggest priorities in no particular order? One, fixing this offensive line and making it doesn't have to, it's probably not going to be unbelievable overnight, but making it good, serviceable, not a problem. Second priority, not in this order, trying to create one unit at least that's truly dominant. My guess is your front 7 or maybe even your front 4 is your best 100%. Chance to do that. So how do you get a dominant unit? And then the third one is trying to find someone in the mid rounds to be a quarterback that can, potentially turn into something down the road and at least give you another option at that position. As you look at those 3 possible priorities, how would you go about trying to fill them through free agency, the draft, and, really free agency and then maybe your first 3 or 4 picks in the draft?
I'll go in order here. So to me, I think you are going with a split approach with the offensive line. And that we're going to, let's start your goal every year should be to bring in 2 offensive linemen that can eventually, get on the field and play. And in this draft, with the way it's set up and free agency, to me, I'm splitting it. I'm getting 1 veteran free agent, and I'm getting 1 draft pick. And I love, for offensive linemen, I think that, and this is a good year to do it too, I think day 2 you can find some really good players, some solid guys you'll be able to plug in and you'll be okay. So that would be my split approach there. Defensive line, I would not feel the need to spend 1 penny in free agency on the defensive line. With the draft that we have, as deep as it is on the front, I'm not going to devote any dollars there. And they've already got a really good start with what they have, the pieces there. I'm just adding depth to it. I was talking to a buddy in Philadelphia with the Eagles, and this is a while back, and we were talking about some of the other top defensive lines in the league, and comparing this team's starting 4 versus their starting 4. And he goes, yeah, but our next starting four are almost as good as their starting four. Like, you can make a case and say their starting four versus our starting four. We got 4 more guys behind those guys. That's the difference between the Eagles and everybody else. Like, it's just waves of dudes. And this is a draft, to me, just keep adding to it. Just keep going back to that well.
So who fits then? If you know you've got Byron Murphy coming back and Leonard Williams coming back, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Jaron Reed. But if those are the 2 guys that are sort of the focal point of that defensive front, who is the best complement to those 2 guys that you see as you kind of look through your defensive line options?
Yeah, well, I'm intrigued. I'm super intrigued by Kenneth Grant at Michigan. I think he's got more in the tank than what you've seen. He's 340 pounds. He's a freak athlete who hasn't, he's had some dominant moments, but they've definitely been moments. They haven't been something he's strung together for a consistent period of time. But I've seen this player so many times in my scouting career. I go back to when Haloti and scouting him when he was at Oregon. And people nicked him and said, "Oh, he doesn't always play hard, or he's not as dominant." I saw it with Dexter Lawrence at Clemson. You can't find 340-pound men that move like these guys. And by all accounts, the character is really, really good too. So, like, that's one to me that you've got some guys who can play up the field, especially with Byron Murphy. And I think about those 2 guys together going forward. That would be a fun combination.
How fascinating are some of these QBs going to be? Outside of Cam and Shedeur, I'm looking at Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Tyler Shuck, I talked about in Blue 88 today. Obviously, Milroe had a tough Senior Bowl, but he's going to run like 4.34 and, jump out of the gym like Anthony Richardson did and everything else. How intriguing do you think some of these guys become? And do we maybe get back to that 2nd and 3rd and 4th round quarterback that seems to have been lost the last few years?
Well, I know if I was an agent for any of these guys, I probably enjoyed the Super Bowl as much as anybody in Philadelphia did, because it was proof that there's a middle class that you can win with at the quarterback position, because it hasn't existed. It's been first-round picks, and then maybe you hit the lottery. You get your Brock Purdy at the end of the draft. Maybe you just get lucky with the Dak Prescott in the 4th round, Kirk Cousins. Like, the second-day quarterbacks, there just haven't been many of them. So you get Jalen Hurts, who I have to go back. What was he, like the 51st pick or some
mid-40s,
right around
I think.
there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up your eyes a little bit to, hey, like, we don't need to wait. Like we're not going to wait for another couple rounds. Like, we kind of like this guy. We know there's holes, there's flaws, but let's take our swing. And that's one of the other things that I don't understand why more teams don't do. And Howie Roseman's done a great job of it over the years, is you don't look at the trades that you make just as, okay, I'm picking, 27 and I'm going to go to 35 because the player that I want at 27 is probably going to be there at 35. I look at it as, I just got a free lottery ticket that now I can spend with that extra pick that I just got on one of these types of players, So trade back, get a couple extra picks. It's free money. It's literally free money, and take your swing on
DJ, you were there in Philly. You were there in Philly with Howie?
Yeah.
Is he this good? I mean, how has he done this and rebuilt and retooled and managed to cap? And I mean, we go through his best play. How has he done this well for so long?
Well, I think you start with, Andy Reid being there initially, and Andy Reid's core belief and core philosophy has always been, the line of scrimmage. And so that was something that was ingrained in us when I was there, all the way back then. And then over the years, you've got that core philosophy, and then you get, Howie had the understanding and knowledge of the salary cap as well as anybody, because he came up on that side of it. So he understood value, he understood contracts, he understood trades. And then when they brought in Joe Douglas and Andy Weidel, who are 2 of my buddies that we all came up through the Ravens side, you got the Ravens scouting system and how the Ravens, develop and evaluate players, and you combined it with what Andy Reid had as well as what Howie had on the contract side, and it was like the Infinity Stones, man. He just collected all of them. And then now it's like he understands how to draft, he understands value, he understands trades, he understands contracts. Like, That's why they're a juggernaut.
Well, not just a juggernaut. I was asking Brock Monday, and I don't think it's crazy. I mean, here we are a few days later. I still feel decent about it. Is that one of the best teams of all time? And the reason, let me clarify, of the salary cap era, because obviously what was built in the 90s, et cetera, was kind of insane. But in a salary cap era, I look at this team, I see 0 question mark position groups, none. Every single position group they have is at the very least good, and somewhere between 3 and 5 that are very good to dominant. I mean, is this one of the best teams of the last
25 years?
25, 30 years?
Well, can you pull it up, right? They didn't they win, if you throw out the game where Hurts got hurt against Washington, didn't they win like 17 games in a row or something like that? I mean,
yeah. All the problems they had were in the first few games of the season. Yeah.
They didn't lose in September when they were healthy. So I think it's going to go down as one of those teams. And the other thing too is you could be really, really good. Like, okay, we have good players, but it's like, okay, this offensive line, massive athletes. Like,
biggest
they look
in the Super Bowl
different.
era ever.
Yeah. You look like it's hard when you go out to an NFL field to stand out and look different amongst the best players in the world. And that offensive line comes out there and you're like, oh my gosh, this looks like this is like the JV and the varsity here with these guys. So you stand out. It's like, if you're talking about greatness, I think of exceptions. I think of exceptional. Like, you don't see offensive lines like that. Saquon Barkley, with his skill set, combined with his size and everything he can do, he's unique. He's like a one-off, like exceptional. The defensive front to have that many talented guys that they can throw at you is ridiculous. Bond, at the linebacker position had been an issue, and then they get an all-pro there, and then they've got studs all over the secondary. Like, there's not a weakness there, which makes them a great team. I think the fact that they have exceptional, unique talents, that makes them, you can put them down as one of the greatest teams, in my opinion, during that era.
This is fun.
Exceptional, unique talents, vets, very explosive, twitchy. Cannot wait to get to this combine.
Bringing in people from Baltimore seems like a pretty important factor there as well. Yep. Hey, DJ, seriously, this has been so much fun doing it throughout the entirety of this football season. We are working on the future, so stay tuned.
We're negotiating.
Stay tuned because hopefully there will be more DJ to come. We've really, really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for doing it. Thanks for committing to it, and the video element of it as well, so that people can watch you and see your Justin Thomas looking face over there. It's been great. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's been really has been a highlight of my week, and for you guys to find the money to pay Salk's replacement, who's here 50% of the time, and squeeze me into the budget is hats off to management on that front, because that's not easy.
Yeah, we got some Howie Rosemans upstairs. We got some Howie.
Are we done? Are we done? I think. Did I say we didn't have the money for DJ moving? I don't know what we heard about that. Hey man, we appreciate it. Thank you,
right,
and we'll talk soon.
All the best. Take care.
There you go. There's Daniel Jeremiah, who's NFL Network, of course, and Move the Sticks. He's just been a blast to get together with every week this year. Brock, let's come back and discuss some of what we just heard. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Who are you most curious to see once the full squad reports? To me, it's Victor Robles. I think if he did come through and he becomes the prospect that everybody thought he was, that could be a huge boost.
Yeah, I'm sort of reluctant to expect what we saw through an entire season. It's almost an unfair expectation. He was off the charts. He was ridiculous.
But that's the kind of prospect he was, right?
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Bull riding, the perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. PBR bucks into Angel of the Winds Arena in Everett Friday, February 14th and Saturday, February 15th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
Mike's Western Suppliers and CL Western Apparel remind parents to enroll your kids in a positive youth program. Sports, hobbies, and community activities improve overall health and performance in school. These programs decrease drug use and violence and develop self-discipline and leadership skills. Let's team together this year to help our kids reach their full potential. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Mike's Western Suppliers and CL Western Apparel. Family owned and proudly serving our community for over 30 years.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Your favorite Seattle sports show is available anywhere you go through the Seattle Sports app. Brought to you by Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center Proton Therapy. Full shows and interviews, exclusive video and articles from the home of the Seahawks and Mariners.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get in the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read internet, guys.
Take Bill by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
Hey, you know who's coming on the show tomorrow?
Big Herm.
Big Worm.
Big Herm Edwards.
Big Pern.
Coming on the show tomorrow at 8:30. Looking forward to that.
Is that why Lyle's finally coming back tomorrow?
I think so. Yes, we can talk to his favorite Arizona State coach. Yeah, Herm is going to be on the show, and I think we get a shot of Brian Wu for tomorrow. Is what it looks like. We're working through details. He was the guy we talked to first last year when pitchers and catchers reported. We talked to him on the phone from down in Peoria.
When does Shanny get down there? She precedes us,
I think next
right?
week.
Next week she'll get down there?
I think Shannon gets down there next week, and then we'll be down there the week after that to do our awesome. My favorite week of the year is we get to hang out in the desert and talk baseball for a full week. I can't wait for that. It's going to be just awesome. So yeah, Big Herm tomorrow. Hopefully Brian Wu, G of course on Friday, and other surprises potentially built in there as well. I should just remind people one more time that tomorrow at 8 o'clock we do have Here's the Thing. So please download the app so that you can watch our videos and see Daniel Jeremiah looking like Justin Thomas, so that you can see Brock, who's decided to go with the backwards baseball cap look, which I got to tell you is a mistake. I love you, and I appreciate what you're doing with the beard. I don't think you're a backwards baseball cap guy.
You don't like it?
No, not this one anyway.
Well, it's not with that one with the hair poking out.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
And you look angry with it on.
It looks like that. What does that mean with Steve Buscemi, where he's like, "Hello, fellow young kids."
Okay, I'll fix it. There we go.
You look mad. Like you take it off and you look like you, but like I don't know. You look sort of angry with that on, and I don't.
Backwards. Interesting.
Yeah, you look a little aggro. Okay. Maybe because it's a red hat. Maybe it's sort of like a Fred Durst thing. I don't know.
It's orange. It's Oklahoma State orange.
It looks red on the camera though, and so I don't know. Something about it just kind of.
No, fair.
I just trying to help out here.
I appreciate it.
You know what I mean?
We did get a text earlier complimenting your crew neck sweatshirt, though.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, old Pistol Pete on there.
Yeah, I like that.
Have we ever sat on February 12th? And this is for you and Maura and Brady's obviously filling in for Lyle. Has done a wonderful job all week. Appreciate you, Brady. Not Henderson, but Brady. Have we ever on a February 12th ever known 3 interior offensive linemen by name that are like, yes. Come on, Seahawks. Two and a half months before the draft, when Daniel Jeremiah rattled off Tyler Booker, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I like him at Alabama. We've heard great things about him. You know, he said the Will Anderson of their offensive line as far as leadership. Yeah. I reached out to Kalen DeBoer. Kalen said the same thing, like, this is a dude, difference maker. Donovan Jackson, right? We know that name from Ohio State. Geez, like, crown him. Bring him to Seattle already. And then Membu, the kid out of Missouri, has been on a number of these mocks. Like, we're February 12th, and we've got the Seahawk O-line figured out. Come on. Get at least 1 or 2 of these guys, along with some of the other big people. Oh, and did I mention Gray Zubel, the center there from North Dakota State that was the highlight of Senior Bowl? And 2 weeks ago when Hawk Blogger was on with us, just bragging about him too, like this dude's a Seahawk. Like, we got to figure it out. Have we ever had that in February 12th of any year that we've ever been alive?
No. Not really.
And I think this is one of those times, and we saw this in 2013-12 offseason. It was just one of those times where the market was favorable. You need a defensive lineman. Yep. It was flooded with defensive linemen. All of a sudden, a Ben and Averill come to you via free agency. We've seen this in the draft, right, over the years, certainly in the early years where they hit on these guys, and Richard Sherman is somehow available. In the 5th round, Russell Wilson didn't get picked by Philadelphia as he should have the pick before, and he's there for you in the 3rd round. Yeah, this is a draft of meat and potatoes, big body draft that needs to address some of your biggest needs.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. After listening to DJ and hearing the 24 starters just on the defensive line, not even including edge guys, I feel we sort of talked about a bunch of different options last week, right? Trying to trade that pick for Myles Garrett, maybe using it on a quarterback. None of these quarterbacks are you don't want to take it with the 18th pick. That just feels like a no. Even if Jackson Dart does end up going in that range, it just doesn't seem right. Not with all of the big people needs and not with all of the big people available. So, all right, let's kind of scratch that off. Offensive line, defensive line. Yeah, I mean, maybe it doesn't really matter the order. Maybe you just kind of rank all of those guys.
Yes.
What I think you do need to know, though, is thankfully you'll have done free agency already. I would like to see them get their center in free agency rather than in the draft, honestly. Maybe it's that guy you mentioned, Dahlman, if he ends up getting a free agency. Just that position sounds so crucial, and the idea of taking a leap and hoping that someone can take the next, that makes me pretty nervous, to be honest with you. So I would be really interested in them getting at least one offensive line position set already in free agency, if not more than that.
Yeah. Now the flip side of that. So the flip side of all that positivity with maybe the market is a favorable situation for you, and maybe the supply chain does help answer this year. If there's a downside to that, and maybe it's not a downside, because just as I was writing it down, DJ got to the story of Philadelphia, and they were like, yeah, we got 8, right? We've got waves of people. Because if you thought that maybe there's an opportunity to trade a Uchenna or a Dre Jones or strip down.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, those guys are going to get cut if anything happens at all.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a hard time as flooded as the market is with defensive linemen.
I never
in this
really
draft.
thought that was going to be the case. Now, it might improve your chances if you want to trade DK Metcalf, because there aren't a lot of wide receivers, and if that's what somebody needs, maybe you do get a first-round pick. And now all of a sudden, I mean, look, kind of play this out with me, right? What if you trade DK and you get back a first-round pick, and now you've got 2 in the first round, and you decide to use one of them on one of those offensive linemen we just mentioned, Brock? I don't know which one. Let's say it's the guy from Alabama. And maybe you trade back with the other one, and you pick up an extra third-round pick. And now you're able to take a defensive lineman in the second round and another one in the third round and get your court. Like, it's not perfect. You're still going to need a wide receiver to replace DK Metcalf. He said he wanted to run 2 wide receiver sets, not one. So you're going to need somebody opposite Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm not saying that becomes like it doesn't just take care of itself. But you could have quite the conversation there about what that looks like, and now maybe you can afford your tight end that you need, or you can, like, it really starts to open up possibilities for you.
Give me cut 11 again, if you wouldn't mind. This was Clint Kubiak asked about DK Metcalf yesterday, and not only were Mike and Clint, I think, very firm on Geno, this sounds pretty firm on DK too.
A lot to work with, a lot of great skill to work with. Down the field threat, strong physical player, extremely excited about getting to work with him, and his physical presence can bring a lot to our offense. So, whether it's him, Jax, all of our guys, really looking forward to working with them here come middle of April.
I don't know. I don't hear that one necessarily the same way. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't be excited to work with him, but I didn't hear that as the same as like,
no, it was not the same.
I'm coming
tone.
here to work with Geno.
Yeah, no.
And Mike McDonald's reaffirming and saying, like, Geno is our guy, and I don't even understand where the conversation is. Like, I don't hear this one that way.
No, I don't either. And I'm not putting him in the same bucket, but he knows the difference this dude makes. And he's had receivers in Minnesota, and he knows the value of that. And then, as he used right there at the very end, that physical presence, which was a common denominator through that entire hour yesterday.
No one doubts any of that. DK is all of those things. The question is, which is more valuable to a guy that literally said his goal is to be out there and running the ball?
Our identity is going to be a running football team that starts with Coach Benton and his approach.
Now, like that says the opposite to me. Now, I heard what he said, that they believe they already have talent on the team and the offensive line if it's coached differently. I hope that works. That's sort of what the Mariners are banking on this year, too.
No, they don't. Let me answer that definitively. No, you don't. You do not have enough. Lamea and Bradford.
I didn't say enough. I said maybe they have pieces they like more than we think so.
Certainly they've got the tackles, which is a big deal. When you've got that component, those guys are typically harder to find. So you do. I'm not diminishing that. I'm not saying that's a lie. No, you absolutely do have some tackles and edge pieces that can be difference makers, but you're going to need to replenish and rebuild and develop this offensive line. And there's got to be a whole bunch of new blood coming in.
All right, let's come back here. We'll give you guys everything you need to know. And I do want to spend a little bit more time on the Mariners as they get themselves ready for pitchers and catchers who reported today will work out for the first time tomorrow. That's coming up. It's Brock and Salk. Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
All right, and Clint Kubiak, your brand new OC, joining us right now in studio. What were some of the weapons here you were most intrigued by, or maybe you kind of started thinking once you knew you got the job? Like,
obviously, it starts with the quarterback. Really impressed with Geno, DK, Jax. No fan. There's a lot of pieces to be excited about, but there's also going to be some new pieces we add to the roster. That's the really fun part of coaching is getting to be a part of guys' careers.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level?
Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Lowe's knows that your business is built on speed and trust. That's why the Lowe's Pro Desk is here to get you what you need the moment you need it. We'll help you plan your project, calculate your materials, and pivot when your job takes an unexpected turn. And with our Pro-only checkout and dedicated Pro parking, you have what you need to tackle your job and be back on the job in no time. Just visit us at the Pro Desk. Lowe's knows pros. We help. You save.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be... Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This Valentine's Day, Shane Company has fine jewelry gifts for every type of sweetheart, including dream engagement rings, heart-shaped necklaces, and diamond studs. Love is always in the air with our unmatched, free lifetime warranty and everyday competitive prices. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on their commitment to quality, innovation, and durability that makes Toyota of Kirkland certified pre-owned and used vehicles the best in the market. When a product is made better, it lasts longer, and Toyota of Kirkland is the place to be to go all in on your next used vehicle for that reason. With a large inventory of certified pre-owned and used vehicles with incredible savings, why not visit their wonderful staff and beautiful showroom today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and go all in on your next car.
Just Cause Legal knows the value of standing up for what's right. If you've been involved in a car crash, Just Cause Legal is here to fight for you with an aggressive team dedicated to securing the compensation you deserve. Just Cause Legal makes the process as painless as possible. Don't wait. Time is critical. Get the help needed today. Visit justcauselegal.com or call 253-859-8899 and meet your legal lifesavers. Just Cause Legal. Fighting for you.
I just had Asset Roofing come out and do a full inspection on my roof because I wanted to be proactive and handle any small problems before they became big problems, and they were extremely professional with their communication and recommendations. You really need an expert on your side, and Asset Roofing is on mine. Allow them to work for you, too. You can find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Excellence is on the house.
Recycling batteries at Pacific Power Batteries is a good idea. There are lots of different types and chemistries, so not everything is free. Our recycling destinations are legit, legal, and doing the right thing with spent batteries. Not everybody else out there does this. Last year, we recycled over 1.5 million pounds of lead-acid batteries and 154,000 pounds of computers and monitors. Oofda. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Pacific Power Batteries recycling since 1985. Before it was cool.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
The pitchers and catchers, Brock, they're not just coming. They're there. They've arrived in Peoria, all of them. They're reporting today. They'll take their medical exams. First workout will be tomorrow. They're not alone. Most of the position players are already there, and honestly, a lot of them have been for quite some time. So this isn't like it used to be 50 years ago when it was like you'd have to wake these guys out of bed and, sober them up and get them to spring training on time, and you needed a reporting day. They're all there, but it's, still a noteworthy moment. And look, I'm a sucker for this. I hate the winter. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate the cold. I hate the snow. I hate the rain. I hate the dark. And the beginning of spring training, in addition to being the beginning of my favorite sport, is also just the beginning of the weather and everything starting to look better, and it's hope and it's rebirth and it's spring, and those things are all wonderful.
Was it Andy? Is that his name that was in yesterday? The
Yes.
mayor of Lacey that bought the holiday magic item to sit in on the final hour with us, and he said it. He's like, the cool thing about baseball is it's every day, and it's that rhythm that you just kind of get into, right? And listening to Rizzer on the radio and watching now Aaron and the Bone being back there in the booth with him and Ryan and Angie and Dave Valley entered into it this year, and he just kind of becomes just the rhythm of your day. Like you get to watch this every single day.
Yep, I love it.
And hope does spring eternal. As tough as maybe some of the winter was and the dormant nature of so much of this offseason, hope always springs eternal, and there still are some big-time stars and studs on this
That's
roster.
right. There's still a lot of reasons for hope, and we went through some of those projections earlier with the position players. When you turn to the pitching, that's where the hope comes from. It all stems and is built on the back of these pitchers and this catcher. Cal Raleigh is one of the bona fide studs right now in Major League Baseball, and there's a reason he was not just a Gold Glover, but a Platinum Glove winner last year. He's one of the better hitting catchers in the game. He is a great leader for this team.
Is he going to walk by us wearing that Platinum Glove?
He said last night that he doesn't have it yet.
Doesn't have it yet?
No, I think he's still.
Is it just the label? Isn't it just the label too?
Yeah, but I think he doesn't have. It hasn't actually been received yet.
Shortage of platinum around?
There may be. Yeah, okay. It could be a platinum shortage. I hadn't considered that as a possibility, but that may be it. Yeah, there's a platinum shortage, and that's why Cal can't get his glove.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Clint Kubiak finally spoke yesterday, Brock. He takes over as the new OC, of course, after 1 year of Ryan Grubb. The message was clear, and I just played it a few minutes ago. He wants to run the ball.
Our identity is going to be a running football team. It starts with Coach Benton and his approach. Just really impressed with his ability as a teacher, number one. I think he's an excellent teacher. The way he runs the room, holds his guys accountable, and I've just seen the way he leads men and he schemes is excellent.
I think, and we were just chatting about this off the air for some of you old heads that have been around for a long time, there is a little Darrell Bevel to Cable kind of conversation, I think, to be had here. Darrell Bevel was a lot smarter than people give him credit for, and he's hung around this league for a long time. But he had a way of working with Tom Cable and understanding that hierarchy and understanding how important that guy was and in the makeup and the personality of that offense. And I think we're going to get a little feel the more we get to know these guys. The Kubiak, like a Darrell Bevel, is not overwhelmed. He doesn't walk in the room and all of a sudden suck all the oxygen out of it. Yeah, he knows the game, and he knows how important that offensive line is in that identity, and pointing right there to Coach Benton within the first sentence of it, I think is pretty illustrative.
Well,
of it.
And you did hear Mike McDonald talk yesterday about how Clint Kubiak, the person, was an important part of this as well. And yeah, it does sound as if he and Ryan Grubb
understands chain of command, as I said to you yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, just hey man, this is McDonald's show. Benton, you're going to be, some of the bad cop. You're going to be some of the muscle. You're going to be some of the abrasion. and then I'm going to come in and kind of put the whole thing together and
But it's
hopefully
not
have enough
just that.
experience to call it well.
It's also, yeah, you said the experience, it's the expertise. McDonald talked about all of that.
The scheme expertise. This guy's been around the game for a long time and well documented with his family, and have so much respect for his brothers and his father Gary. I worked with him in 2014, but the passion for the game, the scheme expertise, the track record with the quarterback. Guys have played at a really high level at every stop that he's been, and then the evolution of the scheme too, and being able to fit it to your personnel. And then Clint has a really great vision for where he wants our offense to go. It was very clear with that, with the personnel we have on our roster. And we'll talk about it as we go here, but I definitely believe that aligns with how we want to rock.
How we want to rock.
For those about to rock.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I don't think I caught that the first time. That's
for those about to rock.
Just kind of how we want to rock. Sounds like he wants to rock with Geno Smith as well. We heard the comments from McDonald last week, and then Clint Kubiak said coaching Geno would be one of the big draws of coming here.
I think Geno's tough as nails. I think you look at the guy in the fourth quarter and he goes and wins football games. That excites me. It fires me up. I watch his career, studying him more now than I ever have before. But you just, you think about a guy that's been through a lot of adversity, the guy that's been knocked off the high horse and had to claw his way back into the starter's role, and then he comes back the last 2 years and, wins more games in the fourth quarter than anybody in the NFL. That's a guy that I want to coach.
Well, and that continues to be the thing about Geno Smith that is his number one attribute is those fourth quarter clutch comebacks. That's what he's been.
We have been pretty spoiled in this market. We really have for almost, 15, 16, 17. Go back to even Matt Hasselbeck in some regard. The body broke down. But we have been pretty darn spoiled in an NFL market to have a quarterback for a couple decades that has been unbelievably competitive, unbelievably tough, and worked their butts off. And you think well, that's everywhere. No, it is not. No, not even close. There's a lot of people in a lot of markets that have been searching for that for a long time. And say what you will about Russ, and we picked his nits at the end of it, and he burned some bridges, and say what you will about Geno and some of the turnovers and the issues he has. Those two dudes have been so unbelievably competitive and incredibly tough, and they work their butts off. And because of it, they've commanded a whole bunch of respect, I think, from coaching staff. Last couple of years of Russell notwithstanding, that was a little bit rough and tough. But honestly, those three things, when Daniel Jeremiah gets into checking the boxes of twitchy and explosive and all, checking those three boxes at those positions, we've been pretty spoiled in this market.
I would totally agree. All right, there you go. That is everything you need to know. And, of course, Brock, we do a quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show.
Of course we do. And, of course, tomorrow at 8 a.m. we do. Here's the thing.
We're gonna.
Maura, did you peek
how's
in
that
there?
look?
Did you get a little, or do you just kind of wait?
I wait till they're all in there.
You do? Okay.
So we don't know. We don't know that much about what that looks like right now. But hopefully, Brock, hopefully.
You guys sound nervous.
Well, a little.
What are you about gratification against Salk?
Delayed gratification.
You're delayed. So is Maura with this. So she's a delayed gratification. She doesn't need to peek in there. She doesn't need to look what's in the hopper. She just waits till it's the right timing of it and goes and gets it done. All right.
I'm not going to make the joke I was going to make. I'm just going
No,
to
I know
hold on. I'm going to swallow it. I don't need to make
Appreciate
it.
that.
I had a good joke, and I'm not.
I could sense
it looks like we already have 5 new ones just from yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, wow. All right, well, go download it. For God's sakes, download the app, people. Quit messing around. Download the app. It's baseball season. How are you going to listen to the Mariner games? Well, you're not going to download the app first? Are you insane? You can barely listen to the game without the app.
Is this you being a dictum again?
No, it's just me telling people to download the app. My God. And then you can leave us messages, and then you can watch DJ, and then you can see Brock's backwards hat and how he looks old. You gotta get the app.
No, you said mean, not old. You said mean.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry, mean. I meant mean, not old. Brock doesn't look old. He looks young. Just like a mean old man. Anyway, that's only with the hat backwards. Now that it's forwards, everything looks fine, and you can figure out whether it's red or orange or whatever. But you got to download the app, people. I'm sick and tired of having to tell you this. We'll come right back. We got Mariner conversation, and then
I'm going to win.
Brock's going to try to get back on top of trash takes. Stick around. It's Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
It sure seems like Geno Smith will be back with the Seahawks in 2025. Two things we heard this weekend that tell us that. First, Mike McDonald's interview with Fox 13.
Geno's our quarterback. I don't understand the conversation.
Tom Pelissero had this to say.
The Seahawks appear to be all in on Geno Smith for 2025.
To me, it's obvious. Geno has to be the guy. You're in a position where you're not going to draft high. You can't still get a quarterback late and hope you develop. But Geno has showed he can win some ball games.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and I know by the end of the day, Sunday, right, you're watching the game, you were probably eating a ton, right? 7-layer dip, guac, chips, wings, pizza, everything else that gets consumed at my house and all over watch parties here in the greater Western Washington area. Well, luckily, Sunday is a cheat day, right? That was built into the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan for me, which means this week I don't feel sluggish, and you shouldn't either. 15 minutes, that's all it takes. Do a little phone consult with them this week. Do it while you're sitting in traffic or maybe driving to pick up your kids. You've got 15 minutes. That's all it takes. And you'll find there's no dieting or calorie counting. There's no boxed or packaged fake food, no pills, no injections, no surgery, no side effects. No, real food with a great plan. You buy all the food at the grocery store. There's awesome recipes. They taste amazing. And you can get all of that yourself at home through Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Dr. Coogan, Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, they have helped over 4,000 people in our area lose up to a pound per day, including me. I lost 35 pounds in 8 weeks. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, DC. Results may vary.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Underestimating the trucking industry is one of the biggest mistakes I see victims and other lawyers make. Trucking companies have an army of lawyers and experts who act quickly after an accident to protect the company. Only an experienced trucking accident lawyer can navigate the complicated federal and state laws to protect your rights. If you or a loved one has been injured in a trucking accident, call Davis Law Group today for a free consultation or get my free book on trucking accident law at washingtonaccidentbooks.com.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The Hot Stove Show. Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason with Aaron Goldsmith, Gary Hill, and Shannon Dreyer.
Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. leading up to spring training. Start the year fresh with Washington Energy's New Year, New Home Sales event. Upgrade and save 15% on energy-efficient Bryant heating systems for your home. Keep cozy and safe this winter storm season with 15% off Honeywell whole home generators. Prepare for spring with 15% off beautiful Anderson windows and reliable Simonton doors. All on sale now for a limited time. It's the New Year, New Home Sales event with Washington Energy Services, bringing good energy to your home.
You're free now. Free to stream beyond your wildest dreams.
Rom-coms, slasher-coms, space operas.
Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers.
Cats, corgis, babies on demand.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things.
Bowl of chips on the Robo-Vacuum.
Free to open a world of remote work and Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com.
Limited availability, service in select locations only.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we offer premium windows that are 25% more energy efficient, reduce noise by 50%, and come with clean glass technology. And Leak Armor installation gives you a lifetime warranty to protect your home. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Through February, for each window or door you buy, you get one at 50% off. Plus, make no payments for 18 months OAC. For details, visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com today, a name you can trust.
Overburdened with a bunch of stuff you don't want anymore, but feel bad throwing it away? John here with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We prioritize donating and recycling. We'll help get your items to those in need instead of going to the landfill. At Happy Hauler, we pride ourselves on responsibility, community, and sustainability. We're a family-run small business that provides junk removal, donations, and recycling. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. It's time to reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Man, 509 says, Salk, take a chill pill about downloading your app. Good Lord. Brock's going to have to finish it by himself because Salk's going to have a flipping heart attack.
Yes.
I'm sick of having to
have
tell
multiple
people.
dictums. Okay, you can't. You had one earlier, so I'm glad we came to that consensus.
Yes.
But that sounded very dictator-ish.
That can be the only
very
dictum.
Demanding, yes.
No, that's
Very,
not dictator-ish. It's not like I fired all the members of the Kennedy Center board or anything.
app,
I mean, let's
yes.
not go crazy. Anyway, Brock, pitchers and catchers report today, which is great. Cal is down there with them. And he was on last night with the Hot Stove Show, talking a little bit about himself and his framing and the pitchers and this and that. But one of the big questions, of course, is what is the offense going to look like this year? And what will it look like with Edgar now under a full season with him in charge of the whole thing? And obviously Kevin Seitzer now, the everyday hitting coach. Here is what Cal said about the messaging and why it worked at the end of last year.
I just think, how simple Edgar kept it. And at the end of the day, just doing your job, staying in the big part field, really just simple messaging. As hitters, as all of us do, sometimes we get a little too analytical or thinking about the swing too much. And it doesn't come down to that. It's about who can compete in the box and who can outlast the approach of the pitcher and staying stern to what you're trying to do. And that's where good hitters are made. And I think that was what, helped us out there in that stretch. So, just looking forward to hopefully keeping that going and keeping that messaging strong.
I heard that sound, Brock, and it took me right, of course, not surprisingly, to the book that I'm reading, a couple chapters in now, The Mental Game of Tennis. And it is that element of trying to uncomplicate things so that you can allow your body to do what it's naturally good at. And in these cases, these guys are not just naturally good at it, they're insanely good at it. It did get me thinking a little bit more about your traject question yesterday, about whether or not that machine is actually good or bad for Mariner hitters or all hitters in general. In theory, it should be unbelievable, right? You practice against it, and then you go out there and
it's VR.
It's VR, but better, right? I mean, it's like a better version of VR. But it did get me thinking about the does it put too much into your head that maybe takes away from some of that natural ability? Yeah. And there's another little.
I like when I say things like that, and they initially don't really stick.
Yeah.
But then upon further review,
I'll keep thinking about them later.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that about you. You don't just diminish that. No,
I think we both do that.
Yeah,
I find that
so
you
too.
do that also. We'll all say something about Miles Garrett, and at first you're like, I don't think so. And the next day you're like, I could probably be talked into that.
Yeah.
I wonder whether there is a little something to it. And it's maybe a question we can ask when we're down there in a few weeks.
Well, I think I could say this confidently. I think I would say this definitively, even about that machine. That it's not going to be a consensus and work for everybody.
Right. And I don't think they mandated it for
No,
everybody or anything like that.
By no means.
If you want this, then go do it.
If you work in a virtual reality world, and that is how you learn. If you're a visual learner, if you are we know that by now. We all learn in process in different ways. And I think there can be some that thing is just overwhelmed. I don't want to do that. It's not good for me.
Right.
And that amount of failure is not good for me. And, as hard as that is to do, that's not good for me. Whatever those answers are, I think I could say definitively that's not an end-all, catch-all, be-all for every one of their players or prospects, nor even maybe an evaluative tool.
There's an interesting little anecdote he has in this book. Again, The Mental Game of Tennis. I'm really enjoying it. And he says, if you're ever playing tennis against somebody and they appear to be in the zone, right? Like they're just better than normal and they're dominating. And I would think this would work for golf as well. And they just, oh my gosh, they're out of control today. They're killing you. Ask them what they're doing so well. And then once they explain it, it'll all go to pieces on them because then they'll start thinking about it, and then it's in their own head.
100%.
And so if you're, I guess I would think it would work even better. Most people play more. I think people play golf these days than tennis. So if you have a golfing group and one of your buddies is just out of control one day, ask him what he's doing so well.
Yes.
So what are you doing differently today? What's going so? I'm really working on keeping my elbow low, and because of it, I'm coming through a whole lot cleaner. Cool. See what happens on the next one. Oh, man, I was thinking about my elbow.
If you have a 2-stroke lead on me on 17,
right,
you're going to keep your distance.
Yep.
And you hate it when I talk to you anyway. And now you're going to even more so. You're going to put your headphones, your AirPods in. I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm not even going to look at you. Salk, what are you doing so well, man? Your swing is so smooth. What are you thinking about?
Yeah. I'm thinking about your old mean face and your backwards red hat. I'm not thinking about my golf game, that's for sure.
Okay, so I think...
so is there something to that? Now, right. Here's the other side of it, though, with baseball. There's so much information, and the pitchers are so good.
Yes.
And trying to just react to 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and changeups and slurves and sliders with 18 inches of break.
Correct.
I don't think you can just clear your mind and go out there and hit it. It's not a golf ball that's not moving or a tennis ball that's coming right at you. You've got to be able to pick out what incredible, differences and the patterns and all of the things that advanced analytics can help you with. So the question is, and obviously this is the great goal. I don't know whether Edgar can do it, Seitzer could do it. I don't know who can do this. But the great goal has to be, how do you synthesize and understand all of that information before you get to the game? So that when you get into the game, you can allow your natural instincts and ability to come out without being burdened by the information that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a challenge. And that's why there's hitting coaches that turn over all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because and then how do you do that individually and learn your learners, as Pete Carroll would love to say, so that you can get Julio in his best place, and you can get Dylan in his best place, and Luke Raley in his best place. How do they synthesize that information differently, Salk?
Yep.
And to me, in some ways, it's almost like tendencies. Like, you got to know and study the tendencies. And for Peyton, he could synthesize an entire room of tendencies. He could synthesize 40 pages of his notes of tendencies. Tom Brady, as I mentioned earlier in the show, with Colin Cowherd saying, my great advantage is I could study tape. And he referenced the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. And he's like, I knew their guys by the way they walked, by the way they talked. When I broke the huddle, I watched them. Oh, here comes the blitz. Oh, now they're going to be able to cover two. Oh, I can tell by their tendencies.
I actually have some of that. Here is
really?
Brady. Yeah, there's Brady with Cowherd.
I knew Kansas City's defense better than they knew themselves. I knew their body movements, the way their linebackers moved, the way their safeties moved. Tyrann Mathieu, Nick Sorensen, Shavarius Ward. I knew everything they were doing. I got out there on the field. I looked up as I was walking the line of scrimmage, I said, okay, they're blitzing. And then I was dealing with it right away. I walked up, I said, okay, they're going to bail to cover two. Ball snap, cover two. And I knew I had the answers to the test. That's where I was great. That's where my magic superpower was. It wasn't how fast I could run. It was how fast I could diagnose what they were doing. What's the special quality? What's the internet speed of me as a quarterback? Fast as
I do. There's some great stuff. Thank you, Maura, for making sure we had that cut. You're the best. It's like you sensed we were going to need that while talking about Mariners baseball.
She's like Brady.
She is. She senses it with us.
She listens to these Tom Brady cuts to go to sleep every night. Let's be very clear.
She's not listening to us. She's doing something else in the other room right now. She has no idea we're talking about her. She's busy working on something totally different. Has no idea we're talking about her.
Yep. What are you two knuckleheads saying now? Don't worry about it, Maura. And no, it's not about Chris. Don't worry. Nothing. I haven't even brought him
we're
up
thanking
this
you
whole
for the
week.
Tom Brady cut and how important it was. And thank you for being like him and recognizing that we were going to need it. That's all. Jeez.
She
All right.
can synthesize the room. She knows where these two knuckleheads are going.
I like his line in there, and it's one that I think is I had the answers to the test.
That's right.
That's a great way of looking at what analytical data and patterns and all of that can do. And it's why the Brady-Belichick combo was so uniquely perfect for as long as it was. How does that work in baseball? Because it's one thing to have all the answers to the test.
You bang a drum, or you've got a buzzer on your shirt, or something like that.
Having the answers to the test is great. But if you can't remember what all the answers were because, there's 7,000 different questions and you just don't remember them all. Now you're trying to remember the answer to the test instead of trying to hit a baseball.
April, May, and June of last year.
Right.
At least that's the story we heard after the fact. It was just too much. It was too much. All the processing, all the numbers, all the stuff that the new, analytics and offense coordinator is going to bring in, bless his heart, it was just too much. Titus was studying for a test, Salk. I don't know how this worked when you were growing up. At your schools, or certainly not at Pomona, I'm sure they never allowed this, but he got one size index card for his, I forget, this was, I think, his geography or World of the West test.
What?
He gets an index card, and you can write as many notes on it as possible.
What?
Yes.
So you could cheat.
Well, no, you got to do the work. You got to put your own study guide together, but you get an index card. And of course, he's writing in like size font 4. So I'm like, I can't read anything.
No.
And I'm like, is this going to help you? He's like, I got all the ansers.
You give him his Ebenezer.
Yeah.
Your
And then he
Ebenezer
gets like
for
an
the test.
86 on the test. I'm like, an 86?
How'd you get anything wrong?
How'd you get something wrong?
What did he say?
Well, I couldn't get to all my information on that little card probably fast enough in the amount of the time of the test. So you think it's a great crutch and you think you have all the answers, but then you got to sit there and synthesize that whole note card. And that's, I've said synthesize now 4 times this segment. I've not said it once in 16 years. I appreciate you implanting that in my head. But can I get to all the information? Can I get to the answer? Oh, here comes the 99. Yep. Oh, here.
And not that you have a lot of time to do that in football. You don't. Obviously, Brady's coming to the line of scrimmage, or any quarterback is looking around, and you maybe have 10 seconds of staring at it all to try to figure it out.
That's right.
And that's not a lot of time considering how complex it is and what they're trying to do to fool you.
Sit behind home plate.
But now remember that the baseball player has like 0.04 seconds to figure it out. It's an insane ability that they've got to try to figure out how to use the answers to the test and then clear their head so that they're just instantly reacting to it and using that muscle memory that they're so great at.
So we're going to get to trash takes in a minute. I think Brady's finally found one. Maura was maybe, finalizing hers. I'm going to win anyway, so don't even worry about it. Can you ever remember as an athlete in your high school days, even now on a golf course, can you ever remember a stretch where you were quote unquote in the zone?
Yes.
What was it?
I mean, nobody cares about my athletic achievements, but I had one basketball game.
Is this a sports show?
Well, I mean, it's not about my athletic achievements.
Sports?
Generally, it's about people who are better athletes. I did have one great basketball game. Went for 27 and 18. It was the best game I've ever played in my life. I scored 27 points and 18 rebounds. It must have been off 15 offensive rebounds. I mean, it's just like
I just saw where the ball was going.
I just knew where the ball was going to go. I must have gotten 5 offensive rebounds off of free throws, where I just knew, I can beat this guy to the spot. I'm going to be able to box him out instead of the other way around. And it was the best game I've ever played, probably in any sport ever.
And I am going to imagine that game slowed down.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to imagine. Yes. I'm going to imagine that you knew where that rebound was going.
It was my sophomore year. I was the last person cut from the varsity team that year. Okay. And I was my first game of JV ball. And we were wearing the short shorts. I've told you before, the JV team got the shorts that went just below the underwear line, if that. If you wore boxers, good luck, because they were coming out the bottom of the shorts. And then sometimes we had to play before the varsity game, which was not fun. But this game was in the Armory. I've told you about the Armory before,
the
Brock.
Armory, the light shined in.
Oh,
yeah.
the sun was directly in your face when you shot at the west basket. When you shot a free throw, you actually had to go offset to the elbow to shoot a free throw so that the sun wouldn't be in your eyes. Inch of dust so that you would slide. Tons of travel calls because people were skating around this basketball court.
Yep.
But I was in my friendly confines, and I just felt like I wasn't having to play against the varsity. It was great.
Awesome.
Is that the story you were hoping for?
Kind of. I love it. I love all of those. I really do.
Because some people wanted to hear about that, not about when you were in a zone or anything like that.
Don't worry about my zones.
Right.
No, we don't got time for that. We got
when you were handing the
takes.
ball off to Corey Dillon left, Corey Dillon right. What kind of zone were you in that day?
Mm-hmm. That was a pretty fun day.
I bet it was.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's hear some trash takes.
Don't look like trash.
Trash takes.
It's a bunch of trash.
Oh, gosh.
I thought it was trash.
On Brock and Salk.
That's a terrible take.
I can't believe you made me give my thing. Cares what I think.
I loved. Why?
Didn't you shoot like a 75 a couple years ago or something?
Oh,
Didn't you go out to, was it Willows or something?
No, it was Suncadia, 78. Just me and Titus, or Macy. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Once in a lifetime.
All right, we've been doing this on Wednesdays, trash takes. So Brock and Maura and today Brady, do you have one?
I have one. I didn't know we needed a clip of audio, but
no, that's okay. We'll give you a pass. Everyone gets to deliver what they saw this week as a trash take, and as the trash master, the master of trash takes, I will judge which is the trashiest this week. Maura, you're the reigning champ.
Yep.
Why don't you
What
go
does that mean?
first?
Okay.
Yeah, you won last week.
That means I go first?
Yeah, you go first this time.
All right. I mean, this one is kind of obvious. We mentioned it yesterday, but I don't believe that you've heard the sound yet. I'm gonna give my trash take to Cam Newton this week, talking to Travis Hunter about all the losers he had to play with after getting drafted #1.
How did you handle the pressure of being the top pick?
Let's put it in perspective. You're the top pick because what?
Where you play?
No. You're looking at it from a personal situation. I'm talking about from the professional situation. You're the top pick because that was the worst team in the NFL the year before. For me, I wanted to be the #1 pick. You could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game like a quarterback does. You can lock down the #1 receiver. You can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. It was a culture shock for me.
Newsflash, Cam. Part of the reason those teams are drafting a quarterback #1 overall is because they think you can help with that. You should be part of the solution, not someone who comes in and goes, look at all these losers. What am I going to do with this? Oh, my God.
Yeah, Steve Smith and Greg Olson, they were real happy.
Moore's trash take is Cam Newton saying that you get drafted #1 because the other team that's drafting you is the worst team in the league.
Well, just a bunch of losers.
Okay.
You just got to play with a bunch of losers.
All right. So that's Moore's. Brady, what do you have for us today? What is your trash take?
well, considering I didn't know all the rules, I didn't know it had to be something extremely recent.
What's the excuses? Just give us a trash take.
You know what? That is a trash take itself.
Yeah, you're right.
Excuses are for the losers.
Myself.
Brady, what is your trash take? Let's try this again.
My trash take is the slippery slope that's been happening over the last couple seasons in baseball with multiple rule changes, and one that I saw proposed, it got rejected for now, but I hate it, and it's the golden at bat rule. You even suggest that and put it into people's minds. I don't see how that rule could be helpful for baseball at all. It's just going to benefit your top hitters to slide them into wherever you want, and it takes the opportunity away from the guy trying to stay on the team.
Okay. Hates the golden at bat.
I think we agree with that. Silly.
Okay.
So my trash take, gosh, and I know you love Aaron Boone, so this is going to be hard for me. You're such a Boone fan. You're such a Yankee fan. But do you realize how poor sports the Dodgers were? So pompous. Poor sports. They didn't handle their winning very well. Listen to Aaron Boone talk about it, yeah?
Probably a little bit. I mean, don't like hearing that, you hope. But the reality is, we didn't play our best in the series, and they won. So, they have that right to say whatever. Hopefully we're in that position next year and handle things with a little more class.
Salk's face right now. All right, you won.
Excuse me?
Mora, did he just throw up in his mouth? And by the way, Mora, if you got my facial expression that day the balloons went off on my screen,
yeah.
Can you please snip whatever Salk's face just did?
Ugh. A dark shadow came all the way across it.
Uh-huh. Well, they're going to handle Salk. They're the Yankees. They're going to handle it with class.
Victim says what?
Unlike the Dodgers.
Victim says what?
Because you remember Shohei and those guys, Mookie, they're just classless.
The classless guy. That's a classless team.
Who's the first baseman that hit a home run every? Just
Freddie
classless.
Freeman. Everybody hates him across the game.
His son's overcoming, life-threatening disease. Just classless.
All right. So the 3 trash take options for this week. Mora has Cam Newton saying that he entered a locker room of losers. Brady's got the golden bat proposal, and Brock has Aaron Boone. Brady, sorry, you're right. You didn't really understand the rules.
Didn't expect,
That's not really a take that somebody had this week.
No.
But also, I feel like while it's not a great plan, you sold yourself out by saying, I can't see how it would be helpful for baseball. You can't? You don't think it would be? I mean, look, I'm not saying I agree with the idea because I like baseball the way it is. But having an opportunity to see more great matchups late in games with the best against the best is good for baseball. It brings drama to the 9th inning. The idea that in the 9th inning you get more of Juan Soto against the best closer or whatever, Aaron Judge coming up in the biggest moment, those moments are phenomenal for baseball.
I can see how they could be entertaining. Don't get me wrong on that part.
That's what they're looking to do.
I just don't like the shift that it would do it to the strategy of the game.
Fair. But that's how it would be good for baseball, and that's why they're talking about it. Just looking for ways to create moments of drama throughout the season rather than just relying on the playoffs. So good try, but that one's not going to cut it. So, Maura, you mentioned the Cam thing yesterday, and then you played me the sound. And I will admit, how long was that soundbite that you played? 30 seconds, 35 seconds?
It was 37.
The first 30 seconds, my notes I wrote down, where's the lie? First 30 seconds were, honestly, I think he's right. Why are you being drafted there? It's not because you're a great player. That's part of it from yourself. But you've got to understand you're going to this team because they're bad. That's why they've drafted you. That's why they have the number 1 pick. And I think what he's telling Travis Hunter, right? Mm-hmm. What he's telling him is, look, the unfortunate part for you, if you were the number 1 pick, is you can't, as a corner or a wide receiver, affect the game as much as a quarterback can. And so that would be even harder for you to be the number 1 overall pick than it would be as a quarterback. So honestly, I was right there with Cam for the first 30 seconds until he said locker room full of losers. And then it's like, well, you've sort of, just trashed the credibility of what I think was actually a good take.
I know Jane Daniels was the number 2 pick, but what if he went into Washington with that attitude this year?
But I don't think he had that attitude. I think what he's saying is understand this is why quarterbacks are the better picks. Because quarterbacks can actually change that whole thing.
He'd rather the MVP or the Super Bowl. He
has
a horrible way of expressing it.
That is true. That's true. So because of that, while it's a trash take, it's not as bad as Aaron Boone being the poor victim. Oh, it's so hard to be the classy Yankees when everybody else around you treats you so poorly.
We're all learning how to pander to Brock.
It's not pandering.
We are.
You can find a Yankees team.
3-1 and 1-1. That's what we are. Someone's won 3 times, 3 others have won once.
Yeah.
And there's one common thread amongst most of them.
But this one's just embarrassing.
Salk, the Yankees are classy and the Dodgers are not, okay? When are you going to understand that?
Most absurd thing I've heard in a while. All right. Good job with trash takes, everybody, except for Brady. You'll figure it out next time.
Yep.
The world was against you.
Did Lyle finally make it back home?
No.
I mean, to be fair, Lyle's had some trouble with trash takes, too. He got it after a few weeks.
He started setting up his absence today a week ago. He's like, I'm going to D.C., but there's probably going to be bad weather, so they'll probably cancel my flight. And oh my God, it happened. Magic.
He put me in the situation to fail.
Yeah, that's true, too. Thanks for filling in this week, buddy. He will be back tomorrow. I think we're going to have Brian Wu tomorrow, and definitely Herm Edwards, Big Herm, at 8:30. Bump and Stacy coming up next. Stick around for them. We will catch you guys at 6 a.m. Until then, the Hey
Barn.
See everybody.
Oh, barn.
Get to the chopper!
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
All right, and Clint Kubiak, your brand new OC, joining us right now in studio. What were some of the weapons here you were most intrigued by, or maybe you kind of started thinking once you knew you got the job, like,
obviously it starts with the quarterback. Really impressed with Gino, DK, Jax, Noah Fant. There's a lot of pieces to be excited about, but there's also going to be some new pieces we add to the roster. That's a really fun part of coaching is getting to be a part of guys' careers.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request that complimentary design and estimate consultation today at 206-992-0364, 206-992-0364, or project ideas, explore photos at pcfgroup.com, pcfgroup.com.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
Has snow or ice damaged your roof? You need help removing the snow off of your flat roof? Well, call the experts at Riverside Roofing, 425-949-8252, or go to riversideroofingllc.com. Riverside Roofing, they are the roofing company you can trust.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business. Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it and will beat any print quote. Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs. No problem. I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens. Totally. I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing. I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Spring's right around the corner, and it feels like it now. Mariners pitchers and catchers report today to the M Spring Training Complex in Peoria, Arizona. Cactus League play begins next Friday, February 21st. We'll be airing that game live right here on Seattle Sports, so mark your calendar. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce is changing his tune a bit when it comes to a potential retirement. In the days leading up to the Super Bowl, he said he planned to play in 2025 or 2026. But on his New Heights podcast, which came out after, he said he'd take a little time to decide. Quote, as you see yourself and not feel yourself have the success you once had, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross. Here we go now.
Curtis Rogers in for Michael Bumpus. Curtis, can I tell you something? This is just a random thought I'm having. It's such a weird way to open the show. We now have in our studio a camera, a monitor where we can see us. So you can always watch the show. Yeah.
It's like 50 inches.
You can always watch the show on the Seattle Sports app or seattlesports.com. I know a lot of people listen live, maybe in your car radio, maybe at home. But some people do watch and they'll text in random things like, what are you guys eating? Or like, Bump, what is that hat? But I'm never able to see what we look like. Until now,
and now you're very self-conscious.
Not self-conscious, but every day I'm telling you guys, it's basically, I'm looking at it right now, it's like a mirror next to us where every single day, now I start the show for the last several days, I turn on my mic, which turns on the camera, and then I turn and look at myself. I feel so vain.
Here I am.
Every single day, bro.
Here
I
we
need you
are.
guys to imagine what it would be like to just go into work and then you turn and see yourself on like a TV screen. You'd stare at yourself.
Oh,
you
for sure.
absolutely would.
Those are
Catch me in interviews doing it.
Those kinds of moments, I feel like, wow, there are actual people like listening to me. They're seeing me. I get the same feeling too if I'm walking the concourse at T-Mobile Park and it's like a pre-recorded segment of the pregame show and it's my voice and I'm like, man, there are like 30,000 people here just being subjected to my voice over their conversation. About it, everybody.
Speaking of T-Mobile Park, did I ever tell you the one time I've been recognized in public like 3 times ever. And one time it was at T-Mobile, and the thing that made me so mad about it is someone was like, Stacy? And I'm thinking it's a friend, right? Shockingly, I know. I know that
I'm so popular.
But
It's gotta be a friend.
I turned and he's like, oh, I listened to your guys' show. It's great. I was like, thanks so much. He was like, what's Curtis like? I was like, it's not about him right now. I was
he's
so
not
mad.
here.
I was heated, like really upset. No, I wasn't. But I was like, he's great. He's fine. We hate him.
He's all right.
He's a book. Anyways, all right, let's dive in. Speaking of T-Mobile, also, we have some fun Mariner stuff to get to at 10:30. Pitchers and catchers report today. Is it possible for that group to take another step forward? Believe it or not, one analyst thinks so. That's coming up at 10:30. Before we get to it, we got to talk about some lingering things that you guys need to know about Clint Kubiak's first interview. And Curtis, for you, there was one name in particular you kept coming back to on this roster, and that was Geno Smith.
It was. And the way that he was spoken about yesterday by not just Clint Kubiak, but by Mike McDonald, it made me feel like Geno is absolutely going to be the starting quarterback next season and maybe even in 26 as well. Because, I mean, Kubiak talking about him really stood out to me because, I mean, it sounded like a guy that was like, I cannot wait to get my hands on Geno Smith and be able to work with him. Going as far as saying it was a big draw to be able to coach him.
Geno is a very aggressive player, have a lot of production. Obviously, he's been doing it for a long time. He's overcome a lot in his career. I have a lot of respect for Geno. It was a huge draw to come here and be able to get to coach him, alongside Andrew Janocko. So we have high expectations for him. We're going to push Geno and get the best out of him, and we'll do that by pushing his teammates as well. It's not just his show; it's a team thing, and he's got to be the head of that.
And a lot of conversation surrounding Geno over the last couple of years has been like, how long does he have in a Seahawks uniform? How long before the Seahawks make that long-term investment in a starting quarterback, get a young guy in here that has maybe a decade or 10 to 15 years left in his career, rather than Geno, where it's probably closer to like 4 or 5 years left in his career, just based off of his age, based off of his the amount of wear and tear he has taken in his career. But to me, it sounds like Geno's not going anywhere. If I had to put a percentage on the likelihood of Geno Smith being in a Seahawks uniform come week 1, 2025, I'm going like 99.9%. Like, it is almost a near certainty, unless something were to change that, somebody becomes available via trade, or they just fall in love with somebody in the draft. I'm not seeing that right now. So I think Geno Smith is an absolute lock for the 2025 Seahawks.
I appreciate that takeaway. I love that the takeaway was like, this just kind of continued to confirm to me what this team's plans might be. For me, again, related to Geno Smith, it was the same thing I thought about, the same takeaway that I had, but mine was more of like, it challenged the point of view that I usually take. So I found that to be interesting, and this is what I mean. When I look at NFL teams, I'm looking at it as an NFL fan, right? Yeah, like I'm a host, I'm an analyst or whatever, kind of. But ultimately, I look at it as, man, I watch a lot of games and I watch a lot of teams, and I watch the playoffs every single year, and I see a lot of really good quarterbacks. And while I'll kind of defend Geno and be like, he's really like, he's not bad. Like, he can make some pretty good throws. I certainly understand the sentiment of, oh, how cool would it be to have Jaden Daniels here right now? How fun must that have been for the Commanders?
You definitely get jealous of other teams' quarterback situations.
However, I think in listening to Clint Kubiak's comments about Geno, I kind of thought of the point of view of him, right? So instead of my own NFL fan point of view, I thought, think of this guy coming in as a coordinator. The quarterbacks he's had to work with. Kirk Cousins in 2021 with the Vikings, who had a really great year. And I think that there are people who would say, hey, there's a version of Kirk Cousins I take over Geno. That version is not the version that exists right now, though. I take Geno over Kirk. Same with Derek Carr, man. Like, there's a version of Derek Carr that was really fun and seemed like he had a lot of promise. That is not the version that Clint Kubiak was working with in New Orleans last year. He was a quarterback coach, obviously, with Russell Wilson in Denver during a bad first season. You could make a case, Curtis, that this version of Geno is the best quarterback he's worked with of anyone that he's overseen.
I think it's a very fair assumption to make, especially because of where Derek Carr is in his career right now. Probably on his last contract. I can't imagine he's going to get anything more after his contract runs out with the Saints. As we know, Kirk Cousins was benched this season in Atlanta. Now, Minnesota Kirk Cousins may be a little bit of a better quarterback than what Atlanta Kirk Cousins is. But again, Minnesota Kirk Cousins pretty limited in his ceiling. And as we saw the first year without Kirk Cousins, they go 14-2. Like, they are their trajectory is pointing pretty high right now in Minnesota post Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I think Geno is a great landing spot for any young offensive coordinator, because I don't want to label him as like a safe quarterback, but like,
I mean, definitely not with the turnovers.
Right, exactly.
I think he's got one of the better arms, maybe the best arm he's coached up. Again, he was not coaching prime Derek Carr, young Derek Carr.
No.
He was coaching a struggling Derek Carr, a hurt Derek behind a bad offensive line. A good version of Kirk Cousins, though. Obviously, he wasn't OC with the Falcons. It's just not the version Kirk is right now. So it's hard for me to look at Kirk and go, I'd rather have that.
Exactly. And I think just the possibilities of an arm like Geno where, him being, he'll be 35 this season, still being able to throw that deep ball the way he does. Any offensive coordinator, I think, would look at that and be like, okay, that's something I can work with. And another, tantalizing thing about this Seahawks offense is, having DK Metcalf as one of your targets, a guy who we still don't know what his status is going to be like next year. But based off of what Kubiak's messaging was yesterday and McDonald's as well, I found myself coming away from the press conference and also the interview on this show feeling like, yeah, I think DK is probably back next year. I wouldn't put the percentage as high as I would with Geno, where I said 99.9. I'd probably put DK at about 80%.
Yeah.
Like, I feel very confident that he's back, but there is still an avenue where I could see a trade potentially happening because, as far as we know, contract talks have not started between DK and the Seahawks because the Seahawks don't do business with players outside of the final year of their deal. So possibly, maybe negotiations go a little sideways. That's the only way I could see that's the only way I could really see a DK trade going down, is if negotiations are not going in the right direction. But right now, I think things are very peaceful between both sides, and you hear it from Kubiak and McDonald yesterday, basically saying like, yeah, DK is going to be a big part of this.
I could potentially see something going down if John Schneider got the sense. I don't anticipate that the Seahawks could get a first rounder for DK, but if you got the sense that you could, I think it could be tempting, because that is a huge return for DK Metcalf. But even then, I mean, I think sometimes we overlook how much pride is attached to a successful pick for a GM. Like this was a swing and not a miss by John Schneider.
This is one of his biggest home runs.
Exactly. And so there's a little bit of pride, I would imagine, in eventually parting ways with that person. So I think that you kind of want to keep him and be like, well, what if he's got a 1,400-yard season in him?
Right.
Like, what if with an offensive coordinator that's really unafraid to take deep shots, and not only that, but really wants to, there's a season still to be had here.
DK's trajectory is a lot like the trajectory of